is the commotion inside his house, an ICE agent behind him with his mother yelling in there. And she's afraid because she thinks they're going to take her. And they have another child who, she's pregnant too, by the way, the mother. And they have a 12-year-old child that she's afraid that
he'd get home and she wouldn't be there.
She wouldn't be there. So, I mean, and Kristi Noem, as we know, has lied over and over again about everything. So I don't know why anybody like the president believes anything she says or he says.
877-301-8970. Again, you can talk about the 5-year-old thing if you want to do that. We'd prefer to talk about somebody actually coming up with a way to demonstrate deep unhappiness with the way this is all being conducted. I have to repeat this. This guy, the border, by the way, one of the great scenes, if you haven't seen this, Greg Bovino, who is the Border Patrol Commander at Large, he's in Minneapolis yesterday or the day before, and he's trying to show how these chemical things can be used against people in a non-dangerous way. And so he stands there, he says, "I'm warning you one more time." And he throws the damn thing and doesn't calculate that the wind is blowing right back in his face. And as soon as he throws the thing, exactly.
And by the way, there was the other horrible picture of the person that was on the ground on their stomach being hit. They put the this chemical agent from about 3
inches from his face.
In the person's face. And you forget to mention Bovino's outerwear. He's getting criticism from some sections because this great coat that he's wearing is reminiscent of things that people wore in Germany in World War II.
Let's go to Al on the road. You're first on BPR. Welcome to the show, Al. Hi.
How you doing, guys?
Good.
I don't know what the best way to protest is right now, but I got to get involved. I got to start doing something. I was hoping people were going to see the light before now, but it's going on too far. I'm not happy about this at all. This news makes me sad every day.
I know.
But enough is enough. We got to start doing something.
Well, Al, let me say two things. One of the things that was so appealing to me about what's happening in Minnesota today, I'm not saying it's universal, is it across all lines. It's activists, it's faith leaders, it's business leaders, that sort of thing. The governor's going to be here on the 30th on the show. We're going to broach with the governor about whether or not she should lead an effort here to have the people of Massachusetts do something collectively to demonstrate their disgust with the way that our neighbors in Maine and Minneapolis and lots of places are being treated. So, stay at it and talk to people in your community and see if they're willing to do similar things, Al. Thanks for the call.
And it's also worth pointing out that this is happening in Minneapolis, which is a pretty blue state, and Minnesota's a pretty blue state, Minneapolis is a pretty blue town. Portland, Maine, same thing. We're worried about Boston. It's not happening in Texas, which is on the border with Mexico, where they have...
Which is where border agents are supposed to be.
Yeah, which is where they have a lot of people that are immigrants down there. Why isn't that happening? Why isn't this happening in Texas?
By the way, speaking of lies, just to show that you literally can't get away for a minute, Donald Trump, as you know, you say it's a blue state. Obviously, you don't know what you're talking about, Marjorie, because I heard Donald Trump say he won Minnesota 3 straight times. Is that true?
I don't think so.
He lost Minnesota in every presidential election in which he's run, and he just looks at the camera and says, I won Minnesota, because he feels like he, I guess, should have. 877-301-8970.
Leah in Needham, thank you for calling.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Fine, thanks.
I had a thought when I was getting ready to hear school closings and storm warnings today, that I would like to see communities, big and small, put out a warning or at least an alert when an ICE raid is coming, because it certainly would give people time to prepare their paperwork and be ready at the door, especially people who are medically fragile, elderly, children at home. And possibly we could eliminate some of the chaos. I don't want to waste time repeating how Gestapo-like the world is right now.
Well,
but
Leah,
if
let me
we
tell
could
you,
do something proactively,
well,
it might help.
There is a lot of proactive behavior, even though there have been a lot of horrible outcomes in Minneapolis. There are neighborhood networks, like there are in many communities, where as soon as people hear that ICE is in the community, they pass the word through that network. The more primitive notice, and I believe this happened the day that Renee Good was killed, where whistles are blown in a neighborhood as soon as anybody sees an ICE agent or a vehicle with ICE agents in them. So I agree with you. The more community organizing there can be doing. And by the way, I am convinced, are you not? Massachusetts is going to have its turn. Wu has confronted Trump directly in front of Congress, in other words. Last night, Healy in her State of the Commonwealth speech did the exact same thing. Our time is going to come, so I think people should listen to you, Leah, and also follow the Minneapolis example. Thanks for your call.
Well, you know, you're listening to some of the political talk behind this, that Stephen Miller is Mr. Immigration guy, and he has a lot of power within the inner circle in the White House, and there are some people within the White House, because of course this is not playing well in the United States. I mean, immigration was a huge issue in the election, and Trump, it was, you know, Democrats were criticized for not realizing fast enough that the border was being overrun, et cetera, that he's got the last word in Trump's ear, and that's why a lot of this cruelty is going on, because that's what it is. I mean, it's like brutal and cruel. And we talked about the ability now of ICE to go into people's homes, which we thought
without a warrant,
which you thought was, you know, against the Fourth Amendment of unreasonable search and seizure. But apparently they can do that now. So you see pictures of them, you know, 4 or 5 agents with these long guns and their masks on, standing on the front steps of these little apartments out in Minneapolis.
Let's go to Steve. You're on the South Shore. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for calling.
Hi there. Simple question. Do you believe that people who are in the country illegally should be removed?
Yeah, the worst of the worst, is to quote Trump, absolutely should be removed.
No, I don't believe people that...
No.
I don't...
Not the worst of the worst. Anybody who's in the country illegally with some level of due process should be removed, whether or not they've committed a crime.
I think the answer is no. They're critical to our economy. They're critical to a lot of our neighborhoods. And by the way,
let me ask you a question, Steve.
Can I just finish one?
Let me just ask you a question, Steve. Do you think a child that came here is 2 years old with their family, knowing nothing about what was going on, they're called dreamers, and they're now 30 years old, this is where they've lived their lives, this is where they've gone to school and college, do you think they should be thrown out of the country at 30 to go back to a place they don't even know? Do you think that should happen to them?
Why haven't they applied or attempted to become citizens in all of that 28 years that you just described?
Because, you want to answer my question first? Many of them have. It takes a long time. But should you get rid of them? Should you get rid of the 19-year-old girl from Babson that was just taken by agents when she was trying to visit her family in Texas at Thanksgiving, and the administration, incredibly enough, admitted that was a mistake? Should she be sent back to her home country? I think is it Ecuador or Honduras, the 19-year-old? I think it's Honduras. Should she be sent back to Honduras? Answer that question, then I'll answer yours.
Oh, if she's here illegally, yes. I think she should have due process.
Well, she doesn't have due process. She didn't have any due process. She was picked up and she was sent home like within a couple of days. You want that to happen? You think that's a good thing?
I want due process.
Well, there isn't due process, Steve. So what just happened to her, do you think that's okay? It's a yes or it's a no?
Well, Marjorie, I just said I want due process.
Okay, thank you.
No, don't go away, because I want to be clear, Steve, to make you more unhappy. Due process or not, if people have contributed in this country, and they are huge contributors to the economy, as you know, not to mention their own communities. There are a lot of big businesses that are big supporters of Trump, like the chicken farms that are screaming bloody murder because they don't have workers. The answer is no, they shouldn't be deported. As I'm sure you know, Steve, crossing the border is not a crime. It is a civil violation. And the final thing I'll say is, I assume you know, I'm sure you know, that Donald Trump didn't say, I'm going to snatch people who applied for asylum with 5-year-old children and deport them. He said rapists and murderers are going to be deported, with which we all agree. So the answer, Steve, is no, we don't agree. Steve, thanks for the call. 877-301-8970
But I got to say,
is the number.
we just want to emphasize, Steve did not answer the crucial question. He apparently thinks...
No, he did. He said, yes, if they get due process, get rid of them.
They don't get due process.
But he says they should, and then you dump them.
That's not what's happening.
Exactly.
Okay, Bill in the car. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Bill.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Great. My wife and I love your show. Listen
Thanks.
all the time.
Thank you very much.
I'm just finishing up Meals on Wheels.
That's
I go
fabulous.
to protests.
Go ahead.
Arrested a couple times for civil disobedience, and I've upped the ante. I agree with you that general strikes are absolutely necessary. Personally, I've upped the ante by I am no longer going to pay federal taxes. I've asked my financial advisor to set my federal tax to zero, and I intend to give whatever I would owe the federal government to Maura Healey to do as she pleases in Massachusetts.
Will you put Marjorie and me on your visitor list at the prison you're sent to? You know, Bill, there are a lot of people who feel the same way as you do. I assume you're aware that there's a very good likelihood you'll be prosecuted. You know that.
Yeah, I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. I think there's more of us than you may think.
By the way, I'm not saying you are wrong at all. I'm just talking about what the likely consequences are. I think extraordinary times require extraordinary measures, and I admire you, Bill, and I love that you're doing the Meals on Wheels things, which is a great program. Thanks for your call. We appreciate it.
A lot of people have suggested that that the blue states, which are supporting the red states, should withhold their federal taxes, and then the red states would have to fend for themselves. Wouldn't be a pretty
And explain
picture.
why that would be a huge issue based upon the share of federal revenues and where they come from.
Because it's the blue states that, for the most part, did not vote for Donald Trump that make all the money that enables the red states to have the social service programs that they have.
Right. Blue states generally contribute more than they get back.
Right.
Red states, like Kentucky with Mitch McConnell, the reverse. And by the way, let me just say, that courageous caller who just spoke, I admire anybody who's willing to take action, particularly if there's going to be personal cost. The reason the Minnesota thing is so appealing to me is it's collective action. And I think a lot of people who are more afraid, but principled, more afraid than you are, if they're going to do something, walk off their job, close down their business for the day, want to do it surrounded by other like-minded people. And I hope, again, that Minneapolis, Minnesota magnifies.
Megan in Frankfield?
No, not Frankfield.
Franklin?
Where are you from, Megan?
Hi, this is Megan in Springfield.
Oh, Springfield. Sorry
Springfield,
about that.
sorry. Hi, Megan. Good to talk to you.
Hi. I just wanted to say I think the absolute best thing we can be doing is a general strike. And we need to see more of that. And we need to see just more massive and bigger protests, I think, across the country against ICE. And to show that we are the majority. You know, the majority of us do not support ICE and anything that they're doing. And it's absolutely repulsive.
Well, we're with you, Megan. I hope your dream becomes a reality. Thank you for the call.
Well, we're not going to talk about it later in the show, but polls show that Trump is underwater on immigration already. I mean, most Americans, unlike that man who called,
Steve,
don't think that we should be deporting children.
Yeah, 877-301-8970 is the number. I really hope, I mentioned early on at the top of the show, there's a solidarity thing. I'm sure it's not going to be huge, but it's symbolically important today in Dorchester, where some union workers are going to demonstrate there too. But I hope, when people talk general strike, it's a scary concept. I hope when they see what's happening in Minnesota today, and I hope it's fairly widespread, that it's going to inspire other people to do similar sorts of things.
Okay, I'm going to try to control myself here. This is so upset me. We're going to keep talking about what we can do to combat what is happening across the country in terms of ICE. Quick break. We'll be right back. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
As many parts of the world become more secular, lots of young people in Spain are returning to the Catholic Church.
These kids today are looking for silence, he says, to disconnect from the noise of the world and to find authenticity.
That trend is reflected in Spanish pop music as the homegrown star Rosalía drops new music dealing with the spiritual. Next time on The World.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And the Massachusetts Teachers Association, working together to ensure that all students have the resources they need to succeed. The MTA, a diverse union of education workers committed to the public schools and colleges our communities deserve. And MIT Sloan Executive Education, fueled by cutting-edge research and aided by the latest technology, professionals can choose from more than 90 in-person and online courses offered throughout the year. executive.mit.edu.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about ICE's actions in Minnesota. We all know about the horror with Renee Good a week or so ago. Yesterday, detaining a 5-year-old and his father, and as far as we know, the father is not even here illegally, but is properly sought asylum, which is pending. Many Minnesotans today are striking, despite the fact that it's minus 20 degrees there. Labor groups, faith groups, etc. And labor here in Massachusetts planning a rally. Where's the 3 p.m. rally again?
The 3 p.m. rally is going to be at the South Bay Mall. It's right off the Expressway in Dorchester. A lot of big stores like Home Depot are there. Yeah. A number of unions here in Massachusetts are holding a walkout. You know, a couple of...
And we want to know if this Minnesota model should be something that's replicated here and around the country.
A couple of other things I want to mention. Sure. There was this lawyer who was detained, black lawyer, by the way. She was involved in this protest in the this church in Minneapolis, and she was arrested. And there's much doubt whether this was in violation of her First Amendment rights to protest. But she's not only been kept in jail overnight, which wouldn't happen to someone who was arrested for drunk driving. You get out. I mean, this is not normal. And not only that, the Trump White House changed her face, made it darker, and had her crying. They admitted that they changed her face
on the official White House.
On the official, yeah. So this is,
and they said they're going to do more of that. By the way, memes they say are the way they're going to connect.
I mean, it's important to remember that DHS is breaking laws all over the place. They're stopping United States citizens and putting them in detention. This has happened over and over again, and demanding to see people's papers. Even Joe Rogan, who was a big fan of Trump until most recently, he said, what is this, like the Gestapo? People are asked to show their papers in the United States of America. This is the law breaking. It hasn't stopped them. Marcy from someplace. Hi.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi, I'm in Worcester County.
Hello.
I just wanted to let people know that there are groups like Indivisible Central Massachusetts and all sorts of other small towns that are coming together, people who have similar feelings about this. And if people are interested in getting it involved in a larger capacity, but also if you just talk to your neighbors. Just talk to your neighbors about, being a safe community.
Well, Marcy, I'd like to see a community, maybe as large as Boston or maybe as small as the one you live in, not wait till ICE is at the doorstep of our neighbors. How great would it be if next week a significant part of the Boston community decided to do what Minnesota's doing in solidarity with them, basically shutting down the city, maybe for 2 hours, by the way, but something
Absolutely.
That shows that...
Worcester did that this week, but it was very small. It's hard to get the word out.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll help, and you clearly will locally. Marcy, thanks for your call. We really appreciate what you're doing. 877-301-8970.
A lot of people are into the general strike idea, so we get a lot of text about it. Steve in New Hampshire. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, guys. How are you? I'm a Trump supporter. I listen to you guys every day.
Thank you.
And I know, Jim, if you do me a favor, don't cut me off. Let me finish what I say, and then you can respond to whatever I say.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I'll try to control myself, Steve. Good.
I know. I know you're not going to be able to, but let's try.
Go ahead.
So crossing the border is illegal. According to U.S. Code 1325, the penalty is up to 6 months in jail with the penalty of removal and a fine. That's the first thing. The second thing is, all these illegals that are working, supposedly, all these dreamers, okay, how are they getting Social Security numbers? Where do they get those numbers?
Well, they're not. If you're not here illegally, pardon me.
A lot of them are under those agreements, the TPS and protected service. Like a lot of people from Afghanistan, Steve, people who helped us in the war in Afghanistan, are here under these special provisions.
We're not talking about those. We're not talking about them.
Well, they're getting deported. They're getting deported too.
People that cross the border, right? And how many did Trump deport compared to how many Obama deported? And Tom Holman got an award from Obama for deporting 900,000 people in 1 year. But
Steve,
Trump only deported 200,000.
Okay. Tell us when we can talk.
Hold on. You said you weren't going to cut me off.
No, I just asking when we're allowed to talk.
The media, Chuck Schumer in the media is unbelievable. You guys are always against everything that Trump wants to do. Maybe his tactics are a little harsh. I agree. Maybe the Dreamers should be allowed to stay, but they could never vote. How about that for a punishment for them?
Well, by the way, Steve, never vote? No, that is, no, if it turns out they become citizens, they can vote. If they're not citizens, they can't vote. By the way, Steve, since you listen to the show, I'm assuming you used to listen to the show when we criticized Obama for being deporter-in-chief. It wasn't...
But it was also
different.
It was also totally different. He was deporting people at the border.
I know what he's doing.
This is going into people's houses and schools and churches, Steve, which I think is a much different story, and going after people that have been here for 20 or 25 years. That's what Obama was doing. Don't you see that's a big difference?
Well, the difference is that they allowed 10 million people to come in compared to how many people were coming in before. So you have to be a little bit more aggressive to get them out. That's why.
Steve, when you vote, we let you in. Just answer one, and then we really appreciate you listening and the call. When Donald Trump ran, did he talk about deporting people who are applying for asylum and their 5-year-old sons? Did he talk about deporting people who are citizens?
You remember? Okay.
Wait, Steve, the rule applies both ways. No, the rule applies both ways. I get to speak, and then you have to answer. The question is, did he speak about any of those things, or was it worst of the worst, murderers and rapists, all that sort of stuff? Am I right or am I right?
Well, yeah, it is. You're right, but they both have to go. It's not just
we don't
one.
Agree.
They both have to go.
We don't
Do you remember
agree.
when Bill Clinton had... Do you remember when
had sex with Monica Lewinsky? Yeah, I do. I remember like it was yesterday.
I just have one question, Steve. We're out of time. You want the 5-year-old to get deported or not? You want to send
not the 5-year-old. But remember when Bill Clinton had the guy with the gun in the closet, and they were deporting that Colombian guy, the little 5-year-old?
What's the kid's name?
Ilian Gonzalez.
Hey, Steve, do us a favor. We're going to talk about this more next week. Call us again next week earlier so we can have a longer conversation.
You know what I'm really
Thanks
happy
for your call. Appreciate
I'm really happy about?
That this is done.
Steve does not want to deport the 5-year-old. So we're making a little progress.
Well, good for him for calling rather than an anonymous texter. That was great, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you for calling.
Well, the other guy called who did want to deport the 5-year-old. So there we go. Coming up after this quick break, Ron Mitchell of Bay State Banner and GBH's Callie Grossi are our guests for Press Play. This week, I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on The Culture Show, roll out the red carpet, the Oscar nominations are out. Ryan Coogler's Sinners just made history with a record-breaking haul of Oscar nods, with one battle after another, Hamnet and Frankenstein close behind. The Razzies are skewering Snow White, War of the Worlds, and The Electric State. And we'll spotlight winners from a public domain contest, turning century-old movies into viral new art. Tune in for that and more on our Arts and Culture Week in Review today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Subaru of New England. The all-wheel drive 2025 Subaru Crosstrek is designed for New England terrain. Subaru retailer locations at subaruofnewengland.com.
And McLean Middleton. For over 100 years, McLean Middleton has been dedicated to serving its clients and its community, offering guidance through the complexities of today's legal system. With locations in Woburn and Boston, McLean.com.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Jim Browdy and Mark Regan, live from the library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Diana DeZoglio on Tuesday at the library to continue the back and forth with her and the Attorney General about the ballot question she sponsored to audit the legislature. They got 71% of the vote. January 30th, the governor's here, and in exactly an hour, we'll stop depressing you, and we're going to hear some fabulous music with a point from some Berklee students and others. That's at roughly 12:30. It's time for a regular media analysis segment, Press Play. This week, we're joined by Ron Mitchell. Ron, of course, is Bay State Banner publisher and editor. Ron, good to see you. GBH's Callie Crossley, host of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, which airs Sunday nights here at 6 on 89.7. Also here at Callie Commentaries on Mondays for GBH's Morning Edition. She also co-hosts GBH's Culture Show, which airs daily at 2 o'clock here on 89.7, including today's Week in Review, which I hope you know is live right here at the library. Hello, Callie. Hello, Ron.
Hello.
Good to see you both.
Hello.
Okay, here is, we're going to play a little sound and get your reaction to it. Here is Donald Trump at the Davos event, the World Economic Forum there in Switzerland, confusing Greenland and Iceland. Here he is.
I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money.
So Carolyn Levitt gets up there she's his press spokesman, of course, and basically says, we didn't hear what we heard. What do you make of this?
So my sense was she wasn't paying attention to the speech and so when asked, she focused on the written speech, which was her response. Her response was, it's right here in his written speech. He says Greenland. But of course, if you're not listening to him when he says Iceland, you don't know that. So my assessment was one of two things, and they're probably both true. She wasn't listening and referred people to the written text. Anybody knows that people give their written text and then they go off script, and this guy, for sure. Or the second thing is that she clearly heard it, knew what he said, and I don't care. She will lie on his behalf with full force and vigor. And there you go.
I vote for number two.
I have to co-sign that as well. The White House press secretary has consistently been, just a representative for the MAGA message, regardless as to the truth. It's just clear. And Donald's showing his age, and he's having issues.
You know what's incredible to me? That you are not allowed, if you have any connection to Trump, doesn't matter if you're head of ICE, head of Homeland Security, you can never admit anything, even minor, was wrong. The answer should have been, he was tired. He was on a flight all night or whatever the hell he was. His plane got recalled. He got to get on a new plane. He misspoke. What's the big deal?
Well, that's exactly.
But the issue is not even mocking the senility, which is being kind, of the president, as you're suggesting there, Ron Mitchell. The problem is the American people can't rely on a sentence being true out of the mouth of the president. And the liaison between the president and all of us, you can't rely on her either. And which leads me to why I wanted to have this part of our discussion. I think the press has to get more aggressive in these press conferences. You can't interrupt the President of the United States every other word, even if he's lying. You sure as hell can be more forceful in these press conferences, at least in my opinion, in the press room, than they're being. Is that being unfair since I'm not there and don't have to do it?
Go ahead.
I think that folks are shook to some degree, but I think that we as journalists have to be, speak truth to power. I think that they have to be very aggressive now because there's so much propaganda coming out. You got to call it out. You got to say it, you got to question them while they're standing there in front of you and take the brunt of the nastiness that you're going to get.
And it's hard. I know it's really hard. Do you agree with that or no?
Well, I would argue that a lot of people have been quite assertive. I'm not going to use the word aggressive, but quite assertive in pressing a point. And what they get is the same stuff going back. Carolyn Levitt's going to say the same thing no matter what. She just will not be moved from lying. That's what's clear. I mean, the thing that I hope American consumers of news understand, the way we were taught, all of us, was that if you make an error, even a tiny one, in your piece, then everybody has the right to question the rest of it. Because if you couldn't get
Great
X
point.
right, then why should I believe you on the reporting that you did in the entire story? So the way that one would hope people who are consumers of news understand, if Carolyn Levitt will lie against the videotape that you've just seen, you need to question what else is being said and understand that the reporting that journalists are doing, I didn't say media content creators, I said journalists, is factual and pay attention. There's a difference.
And that is one of the problems too, because a lot of the people that are in these press conferences now are not journalists. They're people, the woman like from the
That's correct.
Mike
Mr.
Levitt
Pillow.
Network
Yeah.
asking
Mike
questions.
Lindell.
Whatever it is. And by the way, I'm not going to be criticizing Donald Trump for mixing up Iceland and Greenland, because that's something I might do on any given day. So I mix up a lot of things, I have to admit.
Would your press secretary tell the truth?
Yeah.
I hope so. I
am her press secretary.
Yeah,
and I
Jim
would
is
tell the
here to
truth.
say no, Marjorie. It's not Iceland, it's Greenland.
Right. I mean, that's just so, if anything, that should be held up as an example from now on to say these are the lengths that they will go to. When this is simple, she could just say he misspoke. End of story. Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. This judge has blocked the government. People may recall this story. There was a Washington Post reporter that was doing some investigative reporting, and she was dealing with sources, and the government officials went in and raided her house, took her phone, her laptop, her watch. A judge has so far blocked the government from reviewing what they took. But this is a pretty scary thing.
This is beyond scary.
Too.
This is really, really, really beyond scary. Now, some of these circumstances these days, I'm sorry to say, have pushed me toward closer to conspiracy theorists. And I don't want to go there, because I'm thinking to myself, if when you get your stuff back, Hannah, from the Washington Post, you better take it to somebody you trust, because that thing is bugged. You better start again. I don't trust that they didn't look at it, they didn't touch it, even though the judge said don't do it. Of course they did, and they've copied everything. I mean, it's really, this is from the pages of all the countries that we claim we are not like. I mean, this is stunning in its.
Can you explain why this matters for people who are not journalists? Why does it matter that they went in our house and seized these devices?
Because we have a separation from the government and what journalists do. That's part of our Constitution. It was set up that way so that journalists could be a check on the government. If the government decides, as it does in so many communities around the world, that we run this and we will determine what is information that you should know, they run roughshod over journalists all around the world. You can right now go to Google and just press a button and find any number of examples of this. Worse than this, probably.
But also, if you're a whistleblower or have the courage anonymously to say when there's an injustice being perpetrated.
Oh, now you're talking about the people she has, right?
Whatever,
yes.
Why would you ever talk to another reporter, even if you trust him or her, for fear the government's going to seize the records?
And this is another canary in the coal mine, another major step by the Trump administration to impede justice and to basically crush civil rights. Journalism, as Callie said, is the checks and balance in our society. You've got to be able to have a journalist be able to tell the truth about what's going on without fear of reprisal. And this is just another major step by this administration to suppress a free press, and it's very scary.
Can I say two things about this? I'm really glad you made the point you made, which I have heard nobody else make. The raid on our house was a week ago. Mm-hmm. The judge issued the stay yesterday.
Yep.
Does anybody think in the intervening 6 days they didn't... Once again... Marjorie is every day praising the federal court judges, many of whom deserve praise. The lack of speed, that if there was an injunction, it should have been granted 30 seconds after they grabbed the crap out of her house. Second thing that bears noting, Jeff Bezos, who happens to own the Washington Post, I just checked, and I could be wrong if I missed something. It's been a week, not one word in support of Miss Nathanson, the Hannah Nathanson, the reporter.
Well, that's the other thing that makes this very dicey, because he has proclaimed himself in many ways to be very chummy with the Trump administration, also paying for the the new ballroom and many other things. So, she's got to have some protection. That was the whole point of this, to have an institution that would back her in doing this kind of work. And when we say this kind of work, she was not investigating whether or not the puppy shelter down the street was doing something illegal. We are talking high level, very highly classified Pentagon stuff, where she was getting the truth. Y'all recall that Mr. Hegseth said no longer can there be certain reporters reporting. We've shut them out of the Pentagon. Journalists, we can only have the media content creators, I say, are okay to get the official from the Pentagon. So real journalists have absolutely gone around that to tell the stories that need to be told, and they have people working in concert with them.
One more thing
really
that should be said about this. For those that say, well, then she shouldn't have done something bad, even the government is not accusing her of doing anything wrong. They're just saying she has access to information about the guy who they say did do something wrong. So even they say she's... Oh, well, let's underscore that. She did not do anything wrong. The reason they went after her, if they're using the excuse that she did something wrong, is because they want to know who she's talking to. Exactly right.
So let's just be clear about what this is about. It's not about saying she did something wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She just did her job. They're looking for who's talking to her. Let me also remind, what'll happen is, we've had, as a result of technology and other ways of communicating and trying to get sources and all of that and protecting sources, we're going to end up going back to the old-fashioned Watergate way, where you're meeting people in the garage.
Garages,
okay. But my point is, somebody with integrity is still going to talk to some journalist with integrity, and somewhere we'll get the information. My fear is it'll come, to your point, months and years later, then we need to have it right now because so much is going on. That's my fear.
I want to do one caveat to what you said. The issue is not finding a journalist with integrity. Hannah Nathanson had integrity.
Right.
The issue is he or she can have 100% integrity in every corpuscle in their body. If the government comes and takes their records, doesn't matter how much integrity and trust and honesty she has, you're still going to be outed.
Well, you'll still be outed, but my point is, if you go back to the old Watergate days, somebody on those high levels, some of those people that she has who are at high levels to give her information, is going to have a shred of integrity and tell her something. That's the old-fashioned way, but it takes a long time. I'm just saying it takes a long time.
I understand.
May I just insert here really quickly?
Yeah.
It was so, I watched a lot of Jack Smith's testimony last night on television. It was such an upbeat moment because of so many of these people that are gutless.
Upbeat.
It was.
No, I know what you mean.
Because here you had a guy with integrity who said the president should be in prison. The president committed all these crimes. He knows Trump is going to come after him big time. Trump, of course, has called him a deranged animal during the testimony and stuff, and he will come after him big time. But it was so great to see a guy who's willing in front of Congress and those rascals in the Republican Party to stick his neck out. It was just upbeat to
I agree with that.
see somebody that was like
how bad it is? Marjorie, and I agree with you, calls it upbeat. When a former prosecutor testifies in front of Congress that the President of the United States is a felon. Exactly.
Yeah, well, it was. It was. And they went off with these ridiculous things about taking phone records. They were trying. They didn't do what they wanted to do. They wanted to undermine his credibility, and they failed. So
He didn't take the bait.
He didn't take the bait. It was a very upbeat moment because we have very few stand-up people now.
Not enough.
Okay.
Can I talk about a stand-up person? And
Yes.
by the way, before when I was talking about the press being, you said assertive, I said aggressive. There are a lot of reporters who've been spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Sharon Alfonsi from 60 Minutes. Not everybody knows she did a piece about that unbelievable prison in El Salvador where all those Venezuelans are being sent in violation of a federal court order. By the way, how horrible the
No due process.
Exactly right. How horrible the conditions were. Barry Weiss, the new head of CBS News, who has never done anything like this before, spiked the story, and it finally aired last Sunday night after about a month. Sharon Alfonsi had the courage to, in an internal memo that obviously she knew would get leaked out, said things like, I learned on Saturday that Barry Weiss, her boss, spiked our story. She did not afford us a courtesy or opportunity to discuss her decision. If the standard for airing a story becomes, quote, the government must agree to be interviewed, then the government effectively gains control over the 60 Minutes broadcast. She eviscerates this woman, and now, and the admiration I feel for her is unbelievable. Both she and what's the guy's name I always forget?
Scott Pelley.
Scott Pelley, according to a story in the New York Post yesterday, admittedly it's a New York Post, Alfonsi's contract's up in a few months. The intimation is it's not going to be renewed, and that he may be fired. With 60 Minutes being a show that everybody in America knows about, they watch with their parents, etc., could this be a game changer if there's action here and she and he are actually supported? I hope they will be by their colleagues.
Oh, I think they are. They've been supported by their colleagues. I don't think that's going to stop the moving train that is Bari Weiss. I do not. I think she has an agenda, and she's going to go through with the agenda. For me, the question is, and this is where, you know, the saber is in my heart, what happens to an institution, a show that has been a beacon, a model for when we talk about capital J journalism. That's where I'm at.
Well, before you get to Ron, you worked in a national newsroom,
Yes.
as we know.
Yes.
If Alfonsi and
by the way, I knew some of those people who used to work at 60 Minutes.
is that so?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
if the two of them are fired or their contracts not renewed, again, I say this every week, and if I were working in that room, I would like to think I would say, I'm done. Until they're rehired, I'm not. What do you think they should do?
Well, that would be great if you were in a situation that, you know, you thought you had some reasonable amount of to win it, but I don't think they are.
What if everybody in the newsroom walked out?
I think she'll go get media content creators and continue to go.
And I think that was the point of her being appointed to be the news director, to
clean house.
To clean house,
Right.
to change the message. And this is just another example of her taking over. And real talk, I actually worked, Sharon Alfonsi worked at CBS in Boston, WBZ.
I didn't know
I actually
that.
was a cameraman with her way back in the day, and she always had great integrity. Yeah, so she came through Boston, so I was very proud of what she did, and she worked for WBZ TV4.
And you know, it's very important for people who didn't see the story. They should look at it online. But there was like 250, I think, with number of Venezuelans
Roughly, yeah.
that they were sent to this hellhole prison
Yes.
where they tortured people. She interviewed 2 young men that had been sexually tortured as well, and 8 of the 250 had been shown to have committed violent crimes, and the other ones they weren't really sure about. And so here's the thing.
Wait. Using ICE's own data, to be clear.
Exactly.
Okay,
Well, that's
okay.
the thing. They lie
Yes.
so much about everything that it's very possible that the United States of America, without due process, sent 240 people to this hellhole.
This story is the evidence of a crime.
Right.
This story explains clearly and indicates the criminality of this administration and lists and lays out so that everybody can see not just the criminality of it, but the moral injustice of it. And the moral decrepity of the administration to continue to do this. And that's why they wanted to spike the story. Because real Americans who look at this and see this, you can only hide things for so long. And the truth is coming out all over this country, and this is just another example of that, and they wanted to squash it.
And Kristi Noem standing there in front of those men in 4 tiers of
And
beds.
they weren't even the Venezuelans.
They were
the El Salvadorians.
That's right.
As they proved in the thing. I think it's really important for people to understand that Bari Weiss has a stated agenda. That's what her organization was about. Look, they hired her. She's got a deal. Good for her. She's not hiding what she's there to do.
She's doing what she was hired to do. Yeah,
she's clear about what she's there to do. So don't come at her like this is a surprise. What I thought was interesting in the story from the New York Post, and you have to be careful when you read all of this stuff and consider credible sources and how people present stuff. The line in it was, people at 60 Minutes had objected to Bari Weiss strengthening the story. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. That is incorrect.
Can we wrap up by doing sort of an umbrella for all 3 things we talked about? Let's exclude from my question the hardcore Trump supporters, the 35% will support anything he does. Let's exclude the, 35% where anything Trump does is a disaster. In any case, the other 30 or 40%, do they care about Carolyn Leavitt lying? Do they care about a 60-minute story about the cruelty and illegality of this administration on deportations being exposed? Do they care about a reporter's sources being seized by the Justice Department, or do just we care about it?
I think they care, and I think they care because they watch the process. They watch things getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and they understand that at some point it's going to be me. At some point,
you think so?
They're going after, it was only going to be the rapists. It was only now they're grabbing 5-year-old kids in the, it was only going to be the worst of the worst. Now they're grabbing college kids. Now they're gassing people in the street. Now they're arresting protesters who are American citizens for protesting, and now they're suppressing the free press. It's one step after another.
30 seconds, Kelly. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree if they put it in the context of understanding they want to have correct information. Here's the thing. People are understanding they are not getting
I hope
truth,
you're right. I hope you're right. Good to see you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Oh, my God. It's just unbelievable. We're speaking with the Bay State Banners Ron Mitchell and GBH's Callie Crossy for our media analysis segment, Press Play. Thank you both for coming in. We say goodbye to those of you listening on NEPM, and thank you very much for tuning in on NEPM. The Fabulous 413 starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Monty and Khalees, hope you can tune into them. Our show continues here in Boston. Coming up after the noon news, we check in with 2 members of the state's Anti-Semitism Commission tasked in 2024 by Governor Maura Healey to assess the level of anti-Jewish sentiment. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Boston Public Radio with Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. Just ahead, more smart conversation about what's going on in our community. Stay with us here on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Speakeasy Stage, presenting Job, the relentless psychological thriller for the digital age. Now playing through February 7th at Speakeasy Stage. SpeakeasyStage.com. From tossing tea in the harbor to snowy battles against the British, Ken Burns and his team explore the incredible story of how America's founding turned the world upside down. Watch the American Revolution tomorrow at 9 on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jim Browdy, ahead on Hour 2 of BPR live from the Boston Public Library. The Massachusetts Special Commission on Combating Antisemitism found that anti-Semitism is on the upswing in the state. We'll talk to Commission members David Friedman and State Rep Simon Cataldo about the latest report and their recommendations for addressing the issue.
I'm Marjorie Egan. Then it's Live Music Friday with the new You Can't Beat Boston initiative, a new CEO-led campaign for the region that has an original song written and performed by Berklee College of Music students. And because everybody's got the storm in their minds, we'll talk to GBH meteorologist David Epstein about this weekend's Whopper. It's all next, hour number 2 of BPR 89.7 GBH Live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. A powerful winter storm is having an unusual impact. It is affecting up to half of the U.S. population. Officials from at least a dozen states have declared states of emergency, from Texas to New York. NPR's Amy Held reports power outages could be widespread and long-lasting.
It's been quite a while since we've had a storm of this magnitude impacting such a large portion of the population.
Meteorologist Frank Pereira points to a trio of hazards: snow, topping a foot in parts, ice, enough to snap tree limbs and power lines, and deep cold. Philip Jones is with the Nashville Department of Transportation.
The ice is a lot more treacherous. We'll have different emergencies to deal with.
Jacqueline Thorpe in North Carolina worries for her husband, whom she says needs access to life-saving care.
I pray that the power don't go out, and I'm praying that they have some type of emergency assistance where they can come, because he cannot go without dialysis.
Even before the worst of it, airlines had already canceled hundreds of flights. Amy Held, NPR News.
Minnesotans opposed to sweeping immigration and customs enforcement operations in their state are mobilizing a day of mass protests under frigid temperatures. Clergy, labor unions, grassroots organizers, and many businesses opting to close are describing today's action as an economic blackout. They're urging Minnesotans to refrain from shopping, working, or going to school. The Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul have become a national symbol of state and local level resistance to the Trump administration's approach to illegal immigration. Well, federal immigration officials are disputing reports today that agents targeted a 5-year-old who was with his father, suspected of being in the U.S. illegally. Marcus Charles, acting executive associate director with ICE, released this account today.
Arias fled from law enforcement on foot, abandoning his child in the middle of winter in a vehicle. One of our officers stayed behind with that child while other officers apprehended his father. After conducting the arrest, my officers stayed with the child. They cared for him, took him to get something to eat from a drive-through restaurant, and spent hours ensuring he was taken care of.
Charles says the child has not been separated from his father. Local school officials said the 5-year-old was among 4 minors recently detained in Minnesota.
All right, March for Life. Now you know the chorus. You sing it loud with me.
People are gathering for March for Life demonstrations in the nation's capital this afternoon. Vice President J.D. Vance is among the prominent figures expected to speak at the event opposing abortion rights. At last check on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 227 points at 49,156. This is NPR News.
And from the GBH Radio Newsroom in Boston, I'm Judy Ewell. Cities and towns in southern New England are staffing up ahead of dangerous cold and a foot or more of snow forecast for this weekend. Worcester's DPW Commissioner John Westerling says plows and sanders are ready in the city of Seven Hills.
We're aware of those hills. We've got historical information on accidents and cars and vehicles being stuck on those. So we do pay more attention to make sure that emergency vehicles can move safely through the city.
Now, the severe weather starts with an Arctic air mass tonight. The wind chill could drop to 15 or 20 below zero by tomorrow morning. Snow is forecast to arrive by mid-morning on Sunday. Highway officials say travel is not recommended starting late Sunday morning into Monday. They're asking everybody to stay home if you can, so plows can move the snow and sanders can treat the roads. New Englanders are relatively familiar with the impact of heavy snow and ice, but that's not true for many people in the southern U.S. MSPCA Angel says more than a dozen dogs are on their way from Mississippi to Massachusetts, and several counties in the southern state are under an ice storm warning. 18 dogs are expected to arrive at Worcester Regional Airport this afternoon. They'll be met by vans and transported to the MSPCA Angel Northeast Animal Shelter in Salem. Mike Kiley, Vice President of the Animal Protection Division, says they're taking the animals in to free up kennel space so their partners in Mississippi can shelter animals that will be impacted by the storm. Right now, we've got a sunny Friday, highs in the 30s this afternoon. Clear skies overnight, lows in the single digits. The wind chill dropping very low in much of southern New England overnight. 31 degrees in Boston. This is GBH.
We're number 2 of Boston Public Radio, Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We are live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Diana DeZaglia, the state auditor, is going to join us again on Tuesday in one of our endless discussions about the vote 70 to whatever it was, 70 to 30, whatever.
71.
71. Thank you very much.
You're
The people
welcome.
of Massachusetts want to audit the legislature. It's still not happening, and that is her big topic. On January 30th, we're going to talk to the governor. She'll be here with us at the library from 12 to 1. And on February 2nd, thank you to our bosses at GBH. Jim and I are working an hour less a day. We'll be here from 11 to 1 instead of 11 to 2, and Jim is very excited about that.
You're supposed to say hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Marjorie.
Hi.
Can I just explain one thing? Actually,
Yes.
this is important to do. Diana DeZaglia is coming on. She'd come on anyway, but when the Attorney General was here the other day, about a week ago, we had our monthly conversation with her about why this thing is not being implemented. She explained her side of the story, with which DeZaglia disagrees. But the Attorney General said she would submit to us all of the questions that she has given to the auditor, which she believes the auditor is not adequately responding to, and we'd go over those with her on the air, assuming DeZoglio is willing to do it. We should say, as of the moment, we have not received the questions from the Attorney General's office, despite repeated requests, so we are doing our best. In the interim, we're joined now by two members of the State Special Commission on Combating Antisemitism, tasked by the legislature and the governor back in 2024 to research the level of anti-Jewish sentiment in the state, come up with recommendations on how to fight it. Their report, released late last year, found that anti-Semitism is indeed rising in Massachusetts. Many Jewish people feel their experiences are being minimized. Joining us now to discuss all this at the library is David Friedman, Executive Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs at the Red Sox, and we knew him when he was just a little boy working in the state Senate hundreds of years ago as counsel there. Nice to see you. How are you, Dave?
Thanks, Jim.
And State Representative Simon Cataldo, welcome to you, Representative, too. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Well, let's start with you, David Friedman. How did this all come about, this commission?
The legislature decided to create a commission. This was back in late spring, early summer of 2024, because they saw what was happening around Massachusetts. So they passed it despite lobbying to try to kill the bill. There were people who didn't want an anti-Semitism commission. It was passed. The governor signed it. And so I talked to my friend Governor Healy, and Maura Healy's been a great leader on this topic, and said, you know, if you'd consider putting me on this 19-member special commission, I'd be honored, because for me and for my wife, who's Israeli, since October 7th, 2023, we have been horrified by what we've seen. And that's partly, I actually teach a class at Harvard Law School, seeing what's happened on campuses. So that's how I ended up on this 19-member commission that was co-chaired by my friend Simon.
Before we go to the representative, though, who was opposing the creation of this, and what was their argument?
There's a group of organized people, some actually members of your sponsor, the Mass Teachers Association, and some other activists, and they call themselves Together for an Inclusive Massachusetts, which is ironic because it's not very inclusive to try to exclude Zionists. But, you know, they had a bunch of arguments that I thought were very specious. I mean, we need to study a very serious problem.
Now, Representative, my understanding is this was formed after October 7th, and which is understandable. But from what I've read, the rise in anti-Semitism preceded the horror of October 7th. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. It's a really important thing to point out. For several years prior to 2023, we were seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, not just across the country, but in Massachusetts in particular.
Why? We all know, I mean, when it was something high profile, like the grotesque torching of that synagogue in Jackson, Mississippi, the other day, I think everybody hears about it. More of the subtle things, and I don't mean to downplay them by saying subtle, the lower profile things we don't know about. Why was it on the rise pre-October 7th?
You know, we took a real hard look at that during the over 60 hours of commission testimony across our 16 public meetings that we held. I think social media is one of the culprits here, and anti-Semitism has just spread on social media, and of course we're affected by that here. You know, I think there are many other reasons that what we kind of knew as the golden age for global Jewry had really started to decline post-World War II. And it was really hard for folks to recognize and do anything about. And I think that the Special Commission is a very important and proactive step in addressing that.
You know, David, I think this was more recently, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was stunned to read about what happened up at Concord Carlisle High School. You aware about that?
Well, he represents
Is that your district?
And I live there, yes.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a graduate, actually,
You're a
Marjorie.
graduate. Then
yes.
Tell us about what happened there. I was stunned by this.
I was really hoping we'd get to this.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a good story. This is a good story. Back in March, there's a swastika on the skateboard park at the school, and it was painted over by the staff and not really reported. And the police chief was approached by a local reporter, 4th Estate, thank you, about a month later at town meeting, and he's asked, what about this swastika? And he says, what swastika? The police didn't even know about a hate crime that had occurred on school property. Okay? There's a letter sent out. People are upset about the letter. Our commission is working on these issues. Fast forward to the first day of school this school year, there's another swastika in the school. And of course, this is happening all over the state. On the day of that happened, before the school day is even over, the superintendent had sent an email to the entire school community commending the person who came forward, providing resources for families and students on how to deal with that, in giving a transparent mechanism of reporting and tracking what was happening with cases like that. These are the types of things that we've worked on and recommended, and we're seeing adherence all over the state. And by the way, Marjorie, to your question, we had over 200 people in front of First Parish Church and the Wright Tavern, Jews of Concord and Carlisle and the surrounding area, doing a rally where I spoke and others spoke, demanding inclusion.
I just want to mention the part that shocked me even more. Athletic teams called Team Auschwitz and Team Hamas at Concord Carlisle High School. That means a group. Does that mean a group of people together? I mean, it might have been one person with the swastika, but this seems like a group effort here.
Shocking, and at the same time, not at all surprising if you sat through the over 60 hours of testimony that we heard largely from high school, college students.
And Marjorie, let me just add, I'm glad you talked about that example because it shows what we found and have reported, which is there's right-wing anti-Semitism, that's the swastika, that's the white supremacists, and there's left-wing anti-Semitism, that's the pro-Hamas, pro-violence. I mean, 6 blocks from this studio in Boston Common on October 7th last year was a group of protesters celebrating the Hamas massacre against Americans and Israelis, chanting, globalize the Intifada. So it's both sides of the spectrum in the extremes.
You know, first of all, I have to compliment you particularly, Representative. We talk about how many legislative committees never even meet, and this commission, I know, met relentlessly and took testimony, and it was exhaustive in its work, which is terrific. But I'm assuming that in these, 16 meetings you talked about? One of the things we've talked about a lot is that, at least in our belief, that one of the things that's creating great increases in anti-Semitism, not just in Massachusetts but around the world, is the behavior of the Prime Minister of Israel. And we are I think I speak for Marjorie saying we both believe that his behavior directed at the Palestinians was grotesque. We had Omar Bartov from Brown who came up here, called it genocide. How did your committee deal with that issue in terms of cause analysis and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I want to start where you started, which is that far before the current iteration of the conflict, we were seeing rising anti-Semitism right here in Massachusetts, in our own backyard. And so the way that we dealt with this in a situation where we've got what our current president is doing, which is certainly affecting the issue, and we had some strong words for that in our report.
What does that mean? Explain what you mean currently affecting the issue.
So, for example, taking away research funding for cancer in our treasured institutions, we said very directly, that is not the right way to do this. And in terms of the global conflict, we thought we needed to ground this in the experiences of the people, children, adults, who are seeing anti-Semitism, receiving this conduct, and start there. And what we found is that there is so much simple blocking and tackling that we can do without solving a war that's happening, over the Atlantic Ocean in the Middle East. There's so much we can do just in our schools, in our colleges, in our workplaces, in our healthcare system. And that's why we were able to come up with an over 60-page report with 80 findings and recommendations about the simple playbook steps that we think we can take.
We're going to get to the playbook steps and what your recommendations are, but can we just stay on that one issue, though, for a second? I am of the belief that the way to be credible on this incredibly important issue, rising anti-Semitism, is, if you believe it, to call out part of the problem even when it's in your own house. And in this case, I mean the Netanyahu thing. Did the commission address that at all in its findings or in its hearings or that sort of thing, David?
Well, let me say a couple things. First, it's amazing we had a consensus commission report on a lot of stuff, and we had a lot of diverse opinions on the commission. I think I disagree with some of your premises on Netanyahu, which can be a subject for another show maybe or another day.
Feel free.
Or coffee. But on your question of anti-Semitism, we talked a lot about how do you define it? And so we thought we should follow existing law to be informed by what's called the IRA definition. And I think it's relevant to your question insofar as the general mainstream Republican and Democrat approach has been, it's okay to criticize policies of Israel, Netanyahu's policies, the way we criticize other governments. People criticize Biden or Trump. That's not anti-Semitism. And we made clear, and Chair Cataldo would repeatedly say, this is not anti-Semitism. There's a difference between that and calling for the elimination of the only Jewish state in the world. There's a difference between criticizing Netanyahu and supporting and celebrating Hamas's violence against Jews, American and Israeli. about all the kinds of rhetoric we've seen on campuses. And so maybe there's a blurry line near the middle, but our report does allude to these definitions. And I think that, simply put, a lot of times we've seen people cross that line on Boston Common on campuses and saying, Israel's an illegitimate nation. We don't say that about any other country. Do we say get rid of Iran when it represses its people? We're all the people who are protesting, and we care so much about Muslims, which I do. I care about Palestinians. What about the people in Iran? Where are the protests for that?
Well, one of the things, though, I think is got people riled up that maybe we're not really paying that close attention is what we saw on television happening in Gaza. And the idea that to protest that at Harvard University or to protest that at Tufts University, and you know that a woman, Rama, how do you pronounce her last name?
Ramesa
Ozturk. Excuse me. Marisa Ozturk, that wrote the op-ed in favor of the Palestinian people, was taken off by ICE.
Not pro-Hamas, as you always mention. Pro-Palestinian people.
That it was becoming almost unacceptable for people to peacefully protest in favor of what was happening in Gaza. That seemed to be part of what was going on to me.
And this is why we took great care in charting out what we call the Massachusetts way of combating anti-Semitism. We, as Jews, as non-Jews, I think recognize that Jews thrive in a society that has free speech, that has a robust democracy. And we start to detain people or deport people or attempt to do so for exercising their right to free speech, which includes uncomfortable criticism of governments, including the Israeli government. That is not the Massachusetts way, and it's not the way that we're going to do it, which is why I and others publicly called out the situation that you just mentioned, Marjorie. And so we think that we have to be able to do that and zealously protect civil liberties, and we have to start where Jim started this conversation, which is that we have a problem in Massachusetts, and we cannot ignore the problem or not act upon the problem simply because the president is not doing it the right way. And in fact, the fact that he's not doing it the right way is a reason why we should do it the right way.
So tell us what the right way is. Tell us what some of the highest profile, most significant recommendations are. Why don't you start, Representative, then Dave can add to them.
We got really prescriptive. I don't know, high profile. I don't know whether it's the sexiest, but I think it's the most important. I think this is the most important. Let's just start here. In 2020, 2021, during the George Floyd era, if we can call it that for a moment, we saw communities, institutions, educational and otherwise, really build up a robust framework around protecting minorities and protecting people from discrimination and harassment. And we know that a lot of that harassment in my legislative district and around the state and discrimination was happening against Jews. But guess who was not included in those robust framework? It was the Jewish people. We set out to correct that. And so in K through 12 schools in particular, we get very prescriptive in our recommendations and include examples of institutions, school districts, K through 12 schools around Massachusetts who are doing this really well. Shout out to Acton, Boxborough schools that recognize that they were not including anti-Semitism in their trainings of faculty when it came to DEI or anti-discrimination work, whatever you want to call it. That they did not have training for how to report something like a swastika or a Heil Hitler, which were coming on the chalkboard or being uttered all the time. And what we were seeing was teachers erasing them, not because they were bad people, but because they did not know how to react. And now we are seeing not just the training for our teachers and our staff people, but we are also seeing transparent procedures. If you go on to a K through 12 school website now, and we're going to take some credit for this here today, hopefully our school districts don't mind, you will see the procedure, a parent whose kid had something horrible said to them, whether it was anti-Semitic or something else. Now you're seeing a transparent procedure. That was one of the main complaints we were getting from our communities.
Wait, that's already in place?
We are seeing more and more of that. It's spreading.
And David, were these recommendations, you can elaborate on others you think matter, they're forward to the legislature, where you used to work, where your colleague works now. Do they have to approve these things for them to become more than, in your estimation, just good ideas?
So they don't, although there are some legislative ideas that we thought were worth further exploration, and I think that my friend will end up taking the ball and running with it. I'll say, though, that while the legislature doesn't have to approve it, we've been very heartened at the tremendous support we've gotten for our work. Right after we released this, we had the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, treasurer, leaders of the legislature all say, thank you for doing this work. We applaud it. Let's try to implement it. And for me, especially heartening is Governor Healy said, I'm going to ask my lieutenant governor, Kim Driscoll, to be in charge of the implementation. That sends such a strong message that this is a real big problem. It's worthy of that. So just briefly, in terms of, I think that the chair captured the key recommendations. Another piece of this that we studied a lot was K through 12 education. Having the state have a mechanism if teachers start to go down the wrong road and have propaganda or false things in classrooms, you have to have a mechanism to deal with that. Now, why is this important? There are some teachers, not the whole MTA, again, I know they're your sponsor, but there are some teachers in the MTA who are trying to push a very revisionist history Middle Eastern narrative that Israel is a settler colonialist white apartheid state, it doesn't have a right to exist, all this stuff, which is very hurtful, and it's not true. So
wait, MTA is taking, I know about the literature they put out, and I know that Max Page, the president, appeared before the commission for a couple of hours. They endorsed the position that Israel does not have the right to exist?
There
MTA?
are members of the MTA who have, we have slide decks and materials that support that view, and members of the MTA who even say that Hamas's October 7th activity was justified resistance.
But not MTA,
Not
it's
the
an
official,
organization. Okay.
The MTA organization, I'll just mention, and look, I think you're amazing for having this kind of dialogue on these hard issues. I don't think we should get into Netanyahu today, but I'd be glad to someday. But you have to have dialogue, right? The MTA has had multiple debates over an Israel ceasefire resolution to say, wait a second, why is the MTA weighing in on foreign policy? What other foreign policy issues? So the MTA as an organization has spent a lot of time on stuff that really shouldn't be in their purview.
By the way, we will reach out to the MTA and Max Page and give them an opportunity to respond if you're listening, teachers or union members, so do not fear. We're talking to Dave Friedman and Representative Cataldo, who is the co-chair of the legislatively created Special Commission on Combating Antisemitism.
I've lived in the same, I lived in Brookline for ever, like for 35 years, but I live in this neighborhood now I'm within a bunch of synagogues, and I've lived there for 20 years, and the last few years to walk by these synagogues, with a dog on a Saturday morning and see, I think they're armed, guards outside those synagogues, guards outside the school down the street for Orthodox kids, guards outside the little temple there on Beacon Street. There must be 12 armed guards within a block and a half of my house because of fear of what's going to happen. I mean, this has taken a huge toll on the community, the kids that are going into these synagogues.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that publicly. You just described my family's experience when we go to pray. One of the ways that the state has responded to that challenge is through what's called a nonprofit security grant program. There has been robust funding. We received testimony about some of the need for even more of that. That's not just for synagogues. That's for any of the so-called soft targets of any kind of a denomination or non-religious institutions. And that's something that we're going to need to see more of, in addition to more training for our police departments, for our state police. And the governor did a great thing in 2023, our current governor, by standing up what's called the HEART unit that deals specifically with hate crimes. And so we are now seeing more reporting. And I would not be surprised, by the way, if adherence to our recommendations and some of what our governor is trying to do now is going to result in higher numbers, not just of anti-Semitism incidents, but of all types of hate, because one of the issues is that we found that anti-Semitism in particular and other forms of hate are underreported. People are scared to come forward. Sometimes they feel like they're being gaslit. Particularly, we found that many kids, when they came forward to report obvious anti-Semitism, I'm not talking about the geopolitical stuff, I'm talking about like core anti-Semitic incidents, are told by people of authority that this wasn't real, that this wasn't really an issue, or you don't have it quite as bad as so-and-so, right? That's unacceptable. That's something that we really had to address through our report.
How people find this report if they want to read it, their representative?
It's very transparent, so thank you. Appreciate, Jim. It's right there on the website. You can just go on the state's website, the Special Commission on Combating Antisemitism. You can see not only that, but you can see the over 60 hours of public meetings that we had throughout our 16 public meetings. You can see the documents that we used. It's over 60 pages, single-spaced, and it's quite detailed and, as I said, prescriptive. You will find in that report, from Revere to Acton, all over the Commonwealth, we have great examples. There are institutions that are leading the way, and we have that in there.
Can we spend the last 2 minutes with each of you, since you were here, to discuss one thing about your former lives? Sure you can, Jim. Of course. You were a clerk at the Supreme Court of the United States.
I was.
John Paul Stevens, was it John Paul Stevens?
We are of the, this is a rogue court, an in-house law firm in our estimation for the President of the United States. What's your, if people, I won't even put you, well, I will put you this way, what do you think? But beyond that, if people have that opinion, what do you urge them to? Nancy Gertner's here every couple of weeks. She was on the Presidential Commission with Larry Tribe locally, and they ultimately they went in supporting term limits and not so crazy about court expansion when they realized that court expansion could be done legislatively, as it's been done the numbers have been changed, and term limits may have to be a change of the Constitution. They flipped their positions. Do you share their concerns? And if you do, or whether you do or not, what can people advocate for if they think what we have is a real problem?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are fairly concerned that the court has become very political. I don't think it's a complete rubber stamp or blank check for the president. We'll see how they rule on his efforts to, change the Federal Reserve. But in terms of what can be done, that's very hard. It either requires amending a constitution or taking action that I think a lot of politicians don't want to take. But we have this very delicate balance of separation of powers and checks and balances, and when one branch decides it's not going to necessarily abide by them, that's a very hard question. It could be deemed a crisis.
Okay, let's go to you. You worked in the Department of Justice's Office of Public Integrity, which is almost an oxymoron these days.
And you mentioned the former chief just a moment ago with your prior guest.
Former chief was who?
Jack Smith.
Oh, well, of course. That's right. It didn't even occur to me. Well, as you know, probably better than I think the staff was cut early on the second Trump administration from 30 to 5 people, essentially gutting their operation. Why should people care about that cut?
I'd argue, Jim, this is the main thing people should care about. The section where I used to work, the public integrity section, was created in the 70s after Watergate. And it was there to go in and be basically an elite task force to prosecute public corruption, the types of cases that were so sensitive that even our federal U.S. attorney's offices couldn't necessarily handle, or there may be an apparent
You were part of the
conflict
prosecution of Sheriff Arpaio, who was abusing prisoners and was convicted and, of course, pardoned by the president. But go ahead.
And it was the very first presidential pardon by Donald Trump. I had come in during the Obama administration. I stayed without any hesitation during the Trump administration to do my job. And I will tell you, this is one thing that's it's like nails on the chalkboard to many of my constituents, but I tell them this over and over again. When I prosecuted Sheriff Arpaio, we got the guilty verdict at trial, and President Trump, during his first term, pardoned him before he could be sentenced. Literally the next day, my job was to defend the pardon's constitutionality. And I did that. I did that because that is the law. And it was within his constitutional authority. I didn't like it. I didn't like it as somebody who had worked very hard. But that's where we need to be as a country, I believe. We need to, if we really think, that the rule of law is important, then we should adhere to the rule of law. Right now, the rule of law is being violated. We should be very direct about that. And that I think is where we need to be. I think most people agree with that, and it's something that should be. If I was advising federal politicians, which I'm not, I'd say you need to focus on that a little bit more.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and you will come back, and we can talk about the Prime Minister of Israel. David, it's good to see you.
Thank you for taking time for this topic.
Thank
you so much.
We've been speaking with David Friedman, Executive Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs of the Red Sox, and State Representative Simon Cataldo, 2 members of the state's Commission on Antisemitism. Thank you very much for coming in. After this quick break, it is a special live Music Friday and a new CEO-led campaign to rebrand Greater Boston. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You're listening to BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the BPL and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
The Trump administration's escalating rhetoric about how Denmark hasn't done enough to defend Greenland feels like a gut punch to some Danish veterans.
Betrayal is probably the best word. Someone you trust, someone you do your best to back up, and suddenly they stab you back.
I'm Elsa Chang. Former Danish service members share their disappointment on All Things Considered from NPR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Subaru of New England. Wherever New England takes you, the all-wheel drive Subaru Outback is designed to keep you moving through every season. Subaru retailer locations at SubaruofNewEngland.com. And Explo. From culinary arts to veterinary science, Explo's summer program helps middle schoolers to find their spark. Day and overnight options at explo.org/summer. Priority deadline February 13th.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH. As the auditor joins us at the library on Tuesday for some time to talk about you-know-what. The governor joins us for an hour on January 30th. And right now, the end of death and destruction on the show. I should say we're very proud, at least for this installment. Join now for Live Music Friday by the group behind a new marketing push for the city and region. You can't beat Boston. It's driven by a group of CEOs seeking to promote a new Boston and retain talent here inside 128. This wouldn't be the first marketing effort for the region. Here's just a taste from an effort in the late 80s launched by a guy we love, Governor Dukakis, that turned out to be a bit of a dud. Here it is, The Spirit of Massachusetts.
There's just nothing like the great outdoors.
It's a corner of America, a picture from our past. It's quiet towns and rolling hills where time slows down at last. The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit of the red, white, and blue. The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit that we want.
Okay, it's enough.
Okay.
It's not quite I Love New York. In any case, usually, as you know, we hear music first, but today we're going to make you wait a couple of minutes. An original piece of great music. We heard it this morning, composed and performed by Berklee students right behind me. Up first at the library desk, Tom Hayes is the CEO of Ocean Spray. That'd be Tom. Rodney Alejandro, closest to me, is the dean of the great Berklee College of Music. It's a pleasure to have you. And Boathouse CEO, and yes, he is, Marjorie, in answer to our question, John Connors. How are you, John? It's great to have you here.
No, I noticed a slight resemblance when I looked at him when he's introducing
Is
himself.
it okay to say, you okay with this? Your father is the legendary, beloved, appropriately, Jack Connors, who just died recently, one of the great men we have both ever met.
Okay, so Tom Hayes, CEO of Ocean Spray, how'd you get involved in this? What's the deal?
Well, it was started, I guess, a couple of years ago. We had a meeting in the mayor's office, Mayor Wu. She brought a bunch of CEOs together to talk about the problems in the city. And we said, well, we're happy to engage on those. Let's talk about maybe what we should be talking to the public about in terms of attracting and retaining talent based on all the good things about Boston. So it started from there. We had a bunch of meetings. We did some research. And then John's team got involved in the creative side to figure out, well, how do we take this research and develop something that would be emblematic of, in terms of the logo, the music, and everything else that goes with merchandising, all the good ideas that came out of this work with the CEOs. One of the CEOs is here today, Dan Canary from Harpoon.
Hello there, Dan Canary. Yeah. Great to have you.
And
we drink your product and we eat yours, so it's perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Joe Preston from New Balance. And there's too many to mention, but has been a great effort. And
John, what's the goal? What is the? I mean, I mentioned at least my sense from preparing for this about what the end game is here. What is the goal?
Yep. Well, you hit on the point of attracting talent, and that was the key when Tom, Micho, Heather brought us together and said,
Micho Spring. Okay.
Yeah, Micho and Heather Campion. I knew I was in trouble when Heather and Micho invited me to breakfast. I knew it was going to cost me something. But you know me politically, genetically, I like when CEOs step into the breach between the political dynamic and the business dynamic. And that was always one of Dad's favorite items. So when Tom and team showed up and they wanted to sort of help the mayor, help the governor attract and retain talent to this city, and there's been a lot of conversation about people moving out of the city. It was about bringing people and holding people in the city.
Okay, you're the most important person because you're the talent coordinator here. How'd you guys get involved in this whole thing?
Well, I ended up receiving a call from Heather Campion through our Berklee marketing team. And with all this research and ideas, they would format it from their feedback and how could we make some music out of that. So Berklee's job was to take all that information, give it to our students, and see how they would interpret it into music. And that's where we end up with the
And
song
what was the?
we have.
We're going to hear from them in a couple of minutes. You'll introduce them before we do. What was the process? I mean, once you got the message from Heather, what'd you do?
We ended up creating a competition for the college at large and allowed students to apply. And so we did a launch. We explained what the group was looking for, and we had some checkpoints with faculty to help guide our students. We had about 20, 25 songs submitted from across the college. This happened very early in the semester, last semester. And this particular group kind of rose to the top. So we had of those 25, we narrowed it down to 5. And then we further narrowed it down to 2, where we brought in all the CEOs, the mayor's office, governor's office, in a live listening session, and they had to fight it out to pick the winner.
Before you introduce them, just one last question from me, John, and then we're going to continue with you guys after your the Berklee kids. We're not supposed to call them kids. The Berklee students perform. We heard them rehearsing this morning. Is the goal to have this become like an earworm? I mean, for example, everyone in the audience can sing I Love New York. I have no idea what it's about other than New York. I mean, I don't know what the content of the thing is. This is a really catchy tune, as people are going to learn in a minute. Is that the goal, that people start singing it and it's in their head? Is that?
That's the goal. And when Rodney was educating us as we were sitting in front of all the students for the competition, earworm was the exact word he used.
Is that really true? Well,
that's
that
true.
is. Okay, so tell us who these people are, and then we'll have them perform, and we'll talk some more.
Sure. We have two of the 3 composers of the song.
Excellent.
We have Tiare Montevani in the pink sweater over there.
Hi.
In the middle, we have Abigail Marcel.
Hey, Abigail.
And on guitar, and also performed on the recording, is Luca Alexandru.
Hey, look, who's the third composer
The
who's not
third
here?
composer is Eric Lee.
Fair enough. Let's hear it, everybody. We are ready. Welcome.
Summertime, Beacon Hill. On my way to Fenway Park, what a thrill. On the town, autumn leaves. Fall on me, making all the memories. In the wintertime, take a hand in mine. We can build a snowman, lose track of time. And when it's spring, I wanna sing. Dancing in the garden like a movie scene. Written in the stone, feel it in your bones. The city you should know. You can't beat Boston. You can't beat Boston. You should come and see where you're meant to be. 'Cause you can't beat Boston. Seize the day, sail away. Start a new adventure in the back bay. Take your place, run the race. Meet me at the commons, we will celebrate the start of something new. The city's calling you. Make your dreams come true. You can't beat Boston. You can't beat Boston. You should come and see where you're meant to be. 'Cause you can't beat Boston. You can't beat Boston. You can't beat Boston. You should come and see where you're meant to be. 'Cause you can't beat Boston. Oh, you can't beat Boston. No, you can't beat Boston. You should come and see where you're meant to be. 'Cause you can't beat Boston.
Guys,
That was
really great.
Okay, the new earworm. So we got the Back Bay in there, Beacon Hill Public Garden in there, Tom. So this is going to get a bunch of 21-year-olds not to want to move out because they can't afford an apartment anywhere in the city of Boston.
100%. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Can't you tell?
But I mean, it is a problem, right? Because we do have all these kids that are moving out because they can't live here.
That's right. And that's at the root of this, what we said was, hey, look, there are a lot of challenges, but we do have such a fantastic city. Like, who is telling that story and telling it well? And let's make sure we continue to do that. Will Ahmed was part of our group from WHOOP, and he famously said, look, we don't have a product problem. Boston is a fantastic city. We have a marketing problem.
Yeah.
We don't tell our story enough, and it's really a fantastic way to sort of lean into what we ended up doing. And at the end of the day, we came up with sort of the headline, the brief that the Johns team got was, we're a world-class city at a human scale. And let's make sure that we take advantage of getting those messages out to our prospective employees or the team members that are going to come join, and those that are already here to talk about what a great place it is to live and to raise a family.
Can we stay with you for 1 second? We hear a lot, Globe editorialists, we say it all the time. When I first moved here 30-some years ago, when you were growing up here a bunch of years ago, whenever there was a crisis in town, business leaders got together. And you didn't always like the outcome, but it was clear they cared about the city. The problem that arose, the conventional wisdom is so many headquarters that were right within blocks of here became in Canada or North Carolina or that sort of thing. So it's relatively aberrational, unfortunately, that a bunch of CEOs would come together around something like this. How did that come about? I mean, why did everybody buy into this thing?
Yeah, the main reason I would say is when we talked about all the challenges in the mayor's office, the problems, it was really a couple of years ago, imagine, it's still an issue, of course, with real estate, getting people to actually come into the city and to move their businesses here. And so that was endless. There was a number of things we talked about. And the CEO sort of rallied around this idea that why can't we do something that's going to be positive? Really put something wonderful into the community, and at the same time, for our own companies, use it with our human resources team.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so there's a lot of materials that are already out there. People are doing it. It's sort of a grassroots effort.
So the employees either sing it or else. Is that the bottom line? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much it. Yeah, pretty much it. And that's how we do all of our recruiting.
I would hope you would. How's Mayor Wu feel? We unfortunately, she was here last week, not next week, so we won't get to ask her for 3 weeks. What's her deal in this?
No, we presented 3 ideas to the mayor, and she immediately put her hand on this one, or finger on this one. She picked this one, and it was immediate success.
And Rodney, you're over there with all the young people at Berklee College of Music. What do you hear? I mean, we always hear, we close too early, the tea shuts down too early, there's no nightlife, or all that kind of stuff. I mean, is that what you hear, or is there something else?
Yeah, but students are pretty. They make a way to find their fun and make places to play, and especially our Berklee students who get out in town and create whether house parties or parties here and there, and they get to play live. So there is perhaps, it would be great to bring more light to public scene as far as what Boston has to offer as far as nightlife and all those things. But at the same time, young people are making a way to find a way to have some entertainment and get their music out there. So there is some hope that hopefully those who do stay continue to.
Well, we are
thrive.
a college town, after all, right? I mean, when the students leave in May, you notice, man, everything is different. I mean, that's going to be a big part of our appeal, no?
Yeah. So, Rodney, if it was an earworm, start singing it. Go ahead.
You can't be Boston.
Okay, go ahead. Good gentlemen, go ahead. Come on. Tom and Joe, okay, fine. That was horrible. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
that's what I'm doing.
Is this going to be like a campaign? I know within workplaces and that sort of thing, we'll promote it. I mean, is this going to be like a campaign that's going to happen here, or what?
That is the goal. It just starts. I mean, I think to your point earlier, the fact that these CEOs all got together around it and jumped into it is key issue number one, and are pushing it out through HR. But the fact that Berklee brought that originality to it, and if we can get both ends of this to work from bottom up, top down, then that's.
And where are we going to hear this going forward?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It is out on all the platforms at the moment, so just search "You Can't Beat Boston" and it's there for you to listen to.
Okay, it's all right. So we go to Spotify, wherever we get our stuff, and listen to it like that.
And that helps the kids.
That helps the kids. Would there be ads on television and radio too?
That's the goal. That's what the answer is. Yeah. What are you raising your hand? You may speak. Is that what you're?
Yeah. May I please speak? Yeah.
You may. Yes.
Dan Canary also again there is creating.
I remember him. Somebody mentioned him a couple of minutes ago.
He's the CEO of Harpoon.
Yeah.
And he's creating a You Can't Beat Boston beer. I saw the graphics on it. It looks wonderful. I'm sure it'll taste delicious.
When's that happening? Spring. Fabulous.
Yeah.
So you're retiring next month?
I am.
Be honest, this was on your bucket list being on the show, wasn't it? I mean, tell the truth.
I am now. This is the pinnacle of my experience.
You can go.
That's right. I can now. Yeah.
Can we talk to any of these people? Are the mics working for these people?
Right here.
Are all of you? Are you from here? You're originally New York. We're going to be this way. Originally New York. Are you from here?
No, I'm from Israel.
It's from Israel. Where are you from?
I'm from Venezuela.
Okay, none of you are from Venezuela, New York, Israel. Here's the key question for the song. When you're done, you going to stay here? Talking to that mic. Say yes.
Yes.
Oh, no, are you really? Are you really going to stay here?
I'm going to go to LA, but I'd love to come back here in the
Fair
future.
enough. Get to the mic. Let's hear it. How about you? Are you going to stay here?
I probably also will go to LA or New York, but I still got time to graduate. I might stay here.
She's our only hope. Get over here.
Good luck.
But I don't care what the truth is. Say you're going to stay here, okay?
No, I'm going to Mexico.
Okay, they're inspired.
Well, the song is new, so you have no idea.
Got to give it time to settle in. Got to give it time.
You
It's
guys were
brand new.
great, by the way. That's a great song. You were terrific.
Yeah, congratulations. It is a great song. I think it's got absolute earworm potential, don't you think? I love that. The chorus is great.
Do you guys, I mean, one last, totally, this is all serious, but a serious note. How hard are the business guys working on the core issues? The feel matters. I totally agree with you. But the affordability stuff that I know the governor spoke about in their State of the Commonwealth last night, I mean, that's what really is it. That's the literal and figurative bottom line. Are you guys actively involved in that sort of stuff?
100%. I mean, this is obviously a lot of fun, but there's a lot of hard work that happens within the chamber and, the Mass Roundtable, the Business Roundtable. There are a lot of CEOs coming together to talk about the problems. Are they all, immediately solvable? Of course not. But I think the public-private, sponsorship and partnership has been evident in a long time in Boston, and it's fully at work right now.
How old are you?
I'm 60.
What are you going to do with the rest of your life?
Not this.
You're just not telling us? Is that it?
Okay.
No, I'll definitely be
He's turning
active.
red, by the way. So
I'll be active, but I won't be a full-time CEO. I'm looking forward to that. I've had a great career, and I'm going to spend a lot of time in and around New England.
Great, good. Congratulations, all three of you. The song's great. We hope it goes crazy. And we're going to play it as much as we can. And the students
thank you
were
very
great.
much.
Yeah.
You guys are
They're
great, too. You want to thank the Berklee students who performed for us today, Abigail Marcel,
Terrific. Thanks,
Chiara
it's great.
Montevari, and Luca Alexandru for their performance of You Can't Beat Boston.
And you can't.
We've been speaking with Tom Hayes, CEO of Ocean Spray, Rodney Alejandro, Dean at Berklee College of Music, and Boathouse CEO John Connors. After this quick break, a check-in with GBH meteorologist David Epstein ahead of this big storm. I'm Marjorie Egan, Houston Browder. You're listening to BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the BPL and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on The Culture Show, roll out the red carpet, the Oscar nominations are out. Ryan Coogler's Sinners just made history with a record-breaking haul of Oscar nods, with One Battle After Another, Hamnet, and Frankenstein close behind. The Razzies are skewering Snow White, War of the Worlds, and The Electric State. And we'll spotlight winners from a public domain contest, turning century-old movies into viral new art. Tune in for that and more on our Arts and Culture Week in Review today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And the Museum of Science, featuring superpower dogs on the giant screen. The film journeys around the globe as audiences meet the special dogs who save lives and discover the powerful bond they share with their human partners. More at MOS.org. And Babson College, where you can advance your career with an MBA or specialized master's at the school ranked #2 best college in the United States by the Wall Street Journal 2025. Babson.edu/grad programs.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. In case you live under a rock, and actually, even if you do live under a rock, we are expecting a whopper of a storm this weekend. For an update on what to expect, what to do about it, etc., we're joined on Zoom by GBH meteorologist Dave Epstein. You know him from his morning edition check-in with Mark Hers and his terrific columns in the Boston Globe. Dave, it's good to see you. Welcome.
Good to be here, Jim. Hi, Marjorie.
Hey, great to see you, Dave. Thanks for taking the time. So give us the bad news first. What's going to be the worst part of this mess that's coming?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your perspective, of course. Some people are really looking forward to this, and, you got a pretty good snowstorm. We haven't had one of these in over 1,440, 27 days, something like that. It's been about 4 years. The snow moves in not tomorrow. The snow moves in Sunday, late morning, early afternoon. I think by the time we get to, say, 2 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll start to see those 1 inch an hour bands move into the area. And certainly by Sunday evening, travel becomes quite difficult. It snows really hard Sunday night, And then Monday, we have lighter snow, probably on the order of 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inches during the day Monday. But most of this is a Sunday afternoon, evening, Sunday night into sunrise on Monday.
And is that
kind of
going to
storm.
be heavy snow before it becomes light snow, shoveling wise, or is it going to be lighter because it's so cold?
Consistency-wise, it'll be lighter, exactly. Because it's so cold, we're going to see these snow ratios at like 1 to 15, 1 to 12, so more of a lighter snow, and that's going to also preclude power outages as well, for the most part.
Where are you? It looks beautiful. Where are you?
I'm in my backyard. I figured, listen, you're going to talk to the weather guy. I'm not going to be in my house, so we're outside.
It looks fabulous. So I have a number of concerns. I don't like cold weather. I don't like snow, and I surely don't like ice.
Jim.
I'm sorry. I am who I am. Let's start with ice. Is there going to be like an ice experience here, or are we going to avoid that?
No, it's just too cold for that. If you want some ice, head down to the Carolinas and parts of the Mid-Atlantic are going to see freezing rain from this, but this is not a freezing rain situation. Parts of the Cape may see a little bit of sleet or freezing rain mixing in, but for the most part, this is an all-snow event. We're looking at, you probably want to know the numbers, probably 12 to 18 inches. Some places will go over that. There may be a little pocket of eastern Massachusetts that gets into that 18 to 24-inch amounts. Biggest storm we've seen, one of the biggest 24-hour storms was actually in 2022. We had just under 24 inches of snow in Boston at the end of January that year.
Dave, but wait, just stay with us just one more second. You're not using any conditional language like meteorologists generally do. Well, if this goes there or this turns south, this is happening, you're basically saying, yeah?
Yeah, this is happening. I mean, that's why we've got the range of snowfall as little as a foot, as much as 18, and then we get banding during these storms. So sometimes you get these little bands where you end up with 1.5 feet or even closer to 20, 21, 22 inches of snow in some locations on the map. This is a sweet storm in the sense that it's coming on Sunday. We all know it's coming. There won't be school on Monday. We're not going to see coastal flooding. We're not going to see massive power outages. It's really a classic heavy snow event for New England. Enjoy it. Really just enjoy it. It's a lot of shoveling, but hey, listen, it's winter in Boston.
Listen, I'm really excited. I felt so bad for these kids. They look at their sleds and saucers for Christmas, and nobody's been able to go sledding. So I think this is great for them. But you mentioned the Carolinas and the ice. What does that mean for those parts that are going to get the ice?
Yeah, so I've seen some numbers, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice accretion on trees and power lines. So down there's probably going to be pockets of some of the rural areas, especially, that are unable to have power for several days. So I don't think it's going to be like the 1998 storm which hit northern New England, especially Maine. But nevertheless, some parts of the south central part of the U.S. are definitely going to see more of a historic storm, more unprecedented for them, at least in recent memory. For us, this is just hey, if you're forgotten, we do get these kind of snowstorms around here.
And what about the ski areas up north, Vermont, New Hampshire?
Listen to you.
Yeah, they'll do pretty well. They're not going to do nearly as well, probably on the order of like 3 to 8 inches from north to south. So it'll freshen it up. It's cold. They're making snow. It's been a good year. I don't know if you know what's going on out west. Out west, they're having a terrible ski year.
Oh.
So they're way, way, way behind Colorado, Utah. So we are having much better skiing than they are out in the Rockies this year.
Okay, this is difficult. Dave is happy. Marjorie's happy. I'm miserable. So here's my next cause of misery. This is well, I was going to say the limit to my meteorological skills. I don't have any, so hopefully I'm wrong. I looked at the temperatures for the next 7 days, Dave Epstein, and not one day is it going to hit 32. So my conclusion, which I hope you will disabuse me of, is not only is it going to snow 12 to 18 inches, but it's never going to melt because the temperature is never going to reach above 32 degrees. Am I wrong, I hope?
You're wrong that it's not going to melt in the next 7 days. You are incorrect that it's never going to melt. It is going to melt. It always melts. We always get spring, but it's going to be here for a while.
So for the next 7 days, other than that which our feet press down or people scoop away, what we get is what we're going to have until the temperature rises.
Yeah, for somewhat, but it's interesting, we do get a couple of things. One is we'll get compaction. The snow will actually start looking less, and we also get what we call sublimation. The solid snow directly goes to a gas as the sun works on it a little bit, so it's kind of like evaporation except solid directly to gas. And so the snow will kind of settle a little bit. I'm not going to say it's going to disappear, but it won't be quite as much as it's going to be when you measure it, say, Monday evening. By the time you get to a week from now, it'll be down a little bit.
So
Good. No, you go right ahead.
We've had a dispute about pipes. People worry about their pipes
There's
freezing.
no
It gets
dispute.
really cold
I
like
am
this.
right about this. You are wrong.
No, here's the question. Let me put it to you, Dave. I've looked online, talked to experts. Jim thinks he is one.
I am.
When you have the pipes out by the windows, exterior walls, you let them drip, but you let them drip with cold water, hot water, or both.
It's actually, if you look at the recommendation from plumbers, it's actually a steady stream more than a drip, and it is both because the hot water pipes can actually cool off faster.
Okay.
And another trick is to open up cabinets that are around the pipes and let some of that warm air in underneath those cabinets. Don't keep them closed if they're against one of those walls.
So you're saying steady stream and not trickle or drip?
Yeah, like I'm not saying turn it on, but a little more than a drip. I don't want you to have a huge water bill here in another month.
Can I tell you, Dave, I'm going to give you a little advice you didn't ask for.
Yep.
Don't give Marjorie your cell phone number. Let me just leave you. Before you go, I hear you talking all the time with Mark about your YouTube channel that people love. Tell people briefly what Growing Wisdom on YouTube is.
Yeah, sure. Growing Wisdom, we do the daily videos with the weather forecast. There's a podcast up there, and there's garden information as well when we are gardening. I'm actually probably going to do a video on amaryllis, which I'll bring up from the basement probably this week, get some things going. And by the way, Jim, you just have to embrace, I'm in shorts. You just got to embrace the cold. I was in shorts this morning walking the dog. What's the big deal? It's not that bad.
Okay. So you sound pretty excited, Dave. How excited are you about this whole situation?
I mean, I know that I'm excited as much as it is. It is. What am I going to do about it? Just have to, be in the now, right?
Be in the now.
Be in the now.
Dave Epstein, we really appreciate your time. Not so crazy about your shorts or your legs, but thank you for your time.
My legs, I know.
See you soon, Dave Epstein.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking with GBH meteorologist David Epstein. Thank you so much for
You're
being
happy
with us.
about 12 to 18 inches?
What about the kids?
Do you know you have a job? Are you aware that you have a job?
I have a job. I also have a shovel. Coming up after the 1 o'clock news, media maven Sue O'Connell is here. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Brown. You're listening to BPR on 89.7 GBH live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
For that next birthday, holiday, or special occasion, you can give a standout gift. A GBH membership. Thousands of hours of your favorite PBS shows, event deals, and local business discounts. Learn more at gbh.org/gift membership.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And American Repertory Theater with Wonder, a new musical for the whole family based on the best-selling book and beloved movie. The Wall Street Journal calls it heartfelt and uplifting. Tickets at amrep.org. And CrowdStreet, a platform providing individual investors direct access to private equity, private credit, and real estate. Learn more at crowdstreet.com.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jim Browdy, head on Hour 3 of BPR, live from the Boston Public Library. Despite our state of misery and constant complaining, there are some voters who actually approve of what Trump is doing. We'll talk to media maven Sue O'Connell about that and what's behind the constant Band-Aid and makeup on Trump's hands.
I'm Marjorie Egan. Then if the forecasts are right, this weekend will be our first big snowstorm in years. How are you preparing for what could be over a foot of snow? Are you a weather prepper, stocking up on beans and bread and tuna? Or are you more relaxed, looking forward to a cozy weekend inside, cooking warm food and watching the final episode of Heated Rivalry? And my favorite side issue, Jim, what are you doing about ice dams? Stormy weather and you. Call or text next on the cozy third hour of BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is abruptly halting a policy of terminating federal disaster workers. That coming ahead of a massive winter storm that's triggered states of emergency in at least a dozen states. NPR's Lauren Sommer has the latest.
FEMA relies on thousands of disaster workers to respond on the ground when storms and wildfires hit. Those workers are on 2 or 4 year contracts, which generally are renewed. Recently, FEMA has been terminating employees whose contracts are up, something disaster response experts say could hurt the agency's ability to respond. On Thursday, FEMA abruptly stopped that policy, according to an internal email obtained by NPR. The Trump administration has been critical of FEMA and is working to overhaul the agency. In a statement to NPR, FEMA says its disaster workforce is designed to fluctuate, but did not respond to questions about whether the termination policy would be reinstated after the winter storm. Lauren Sommer, NPR News.
The administration's touting a trio of initiatives during appearances at today's anti-abortion rights March for Life rally, including an expanded Mexico City policy aimed at curbing federal funding internationally for efforts supporting DEI or gender equality, ending the use of human fetal tissue in NIH-supported research, and a newly launched fraud investigation, COVID-era funding into Planned Parenthood affiliates. Trump addressed the crowd in a video message.
We have stopped forced taxpayer funding of abortion at home and abroad. We're championing faith-based adoption and foster care and supporting our parents by investing $1,000 into an account that will grow over time for every newborn baby.
Vice President J.D. Vance and House Speaker Mike Johnson are scheduled to speak at the event. President Trump has renewed his criticism of NATO, telling Fox News he was not sure if the alliance would be there if the U.S. needed. His suggestion that NATO forces, quote, stayed a little off the front lines in the war in Afghanistan sparked outrage. Reports from London.
Trump's comments suggesting NATO troops avoided the front line in the war in Afghanistan have been condemned by politicians across the spectrum in the UK. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called on Trump to apologise.
I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
One veteran, Ben McBean, wrote on social media, "As I sit here with 2 limbs missing, friends gone, it's infuriating to hear this come out of Donald Trump's mouth." Soon after the 9/11 terror attacks, the UK joined the US in its invasion of Afghanistan. This remains the only time a NATO member has invoked Article 5, which says that an attack on one member is an attack on all. Fatima Al-Kasab, NPR News, London.
It's NPR.
And from the GBH Radio Newsroom in Boston, I'm Judy Ewell. Residents of southern New England are stocking up on essentials ahead of a massive weekend storm. First comes bitter cold. An Arctic air mass brings wind chills as low as 15 below zero overnight and tomorrow morning. GBH meteorologist David Epstein is forecasting up to 1.5 feet of snow starting on Sunday into Monday. These Worcester residents say they're getting ready.
I got gas in my snowblower. I'm getting rock salt for my patio, my stairs, and the walkway. Just shovel all day, I guess, you know.
We're having trouble getting ice melter. There seems to be a bit of a shortage on the ice melter.
Epstein says you can run errands early Sunday morning, then it's wise to stay inside because the snowfall will be very heavy at times. The Pine Street Inn is operating around the clock to serve unhoused people who are especially vulnerable to this weekend's brutal cold and snow. Officials say they've expanded shelter capacity, increased staff, and deployed street teams and vans to offer people the opportunity to come inside. The inn's executive director, Josh O'Brien, says they've got plans to keep everybody entertained during the height of the storm.
We'll have the game on Sunday, so come on in, watch the game with us, get off the streets, root for the Pats.
O'Brien says they've got backup plans to ensure that nobody is turned away and everybody is welcome. A sunny Friday with highs in the 30s this afternoon and clear skies overnight, lows in the single digits, the wind chill dropping in parts of southern New England. Sunny tomorrow, highs in the teens, clear and very cold Saturday night, and the snow on Sunday, highs again in the teens, right now 32 in Boston. This is GBH.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. As a fiduciary, Fisher Investments is obligated to act in their client's best interest. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. This is NPR.
Welcome to hour number 3 of Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. The State Auditor Diana DiZoglio is going to be with us Tuesday at the Boston Public Library. The Governor will be with us January 30th, also at the library from noon to 1. And starting February 2nd, thanks to our bosses, we are going to be able to run from 11 to 1 instead of till 2. Hello again, Jim.
And the Curiosity Desk will be 1 to 2.
That's right.
The news show with
Edgar B.
Hurt
Hurt
III. And 2 o'clock will be Jared, as always, with the Culture Show and then with his colleagues. I, as I said, will not be back February 2nd. I'll be back early March after the snow melts, give or take a couple of days.
Okay.
By the way, at the bottom of the hour, we are going to talk about your storm preparation, the storm Marjorie and Dave Epstein are thrilled about. I'm not so thrilled. We'll do that at the bottom of the hour. But first, now live at the library, we're joined by NBC 10 media maven Sue O'Connell, our favorite local woman, co-publisher, what do you mean, and co-publisher of South End News and Bay Windows. And we're told by Sue she had some exciting, you did? I didn't know this.
Yes.
Exciting news to announce today?
Yes, I have some exciting professional news to announce, Jim, and I want to say that you're going to be very envious of it. So I just want to say in advance, there's still time for you to do this.
Okay.
But on Sunday, I will be in the Thunder Truck doing storm coverage for NBC 10 Boston from noon to 11 p.m.
That was my dream in life.
I know it was. I know it was. I'm going to be out doing storm coverage. Now, this is because, of course, none of us expected the Patriots to actually be at the AFC. So our whole crew is out there. We got a lot going on. I raised my hand and I said, how can I be helpful? And they said, you can go in the Thunder Truck, and I'll be driving around all day, posting on the websites. I'm going to be how it's doing out there. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm out here, so you don't have to be out here.
You're going to be out in your boots and your parka, clinging to a pole as the wind whips
let's not get carried away. I'm not going to be Shelby Scottian. I'm not going to be totally
For young people
Shelby
listening, Shelby Scott, was she on Channel 4?
Okay. Yep, on WTV.
Shelby Scott was the first of the local stand out in the storm up to your waist.
How it would happen? She'd be clinging to the pole, and all of a sudden, her body would
horizontal
rise
to the ground.
Horizontal to the ground.
You know, and we would measure things in Shelby's. How many Shelby's is it going to be? So I don't know, maybe. I mean, because Shelby, of course, one of the first female anchors in America, in Boston, and of course ends up out on the street covering the weather, but that's a whole nother story. But she was iconic. So I know you're jealous. Another thing that I want to announce is this is a Dickie, and I know how important that is to you as well.
Is it really?
It is indeed. So
it only comes down to here?
It only comes to here, so I just wanted to let you know. So I'm sorry to be...
I hate to correct one thing. It's not only because I'm jealous. You said that most of us learned to measure snowstorms by Shelby's. How tall she was? It's actually not true. That was superseded in 2010. I think we've only played this about 7,000 or 8,000 times on the show. Here is TV meteorologist Pete Bouchard giving a weather forecast, explaining how he measures the depth of snowstorms. Here's Pete.
Picking up some snow, are we? Yes, we are. In Princeton, we picked up 9 inches of snow. Bill Ricca had 7, the biggest amount that I could find, almost as big as me, about 9 inches.
Okay. All right.
He's even funnier off the air, I just want to say.
He's known to brag a little bit.
He is known to brag a bit, yeah. So you
we'll
can
play
tune
that
in.
a few more times for the show.
NBC 10 Boston, all day Sunday. That's where I'm going to be.
In all seriousness,
I'm
going to
jealous.
watch.
I know
am
you're jealous.
so psyched.
So, I follow you on Instagram. You're a riot. And you're very serious, too, and very pointed.
I laugh, I cry.
I laugh, I cry, full range.
Kind of like America.
Okay, go ahead.
So after such fun, I hate to go back to something, Trumpville, but anyway, apparently the president's not doing very well poll-wise, even on immigration. And I lost my marbles when I saw that 5-year-old kid getting taken by ICE. It just so upset me. But apparently I'm not the only one upset about the way things are going. So what do you think about his... he's not going to be in the ballot again, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Democrats...
Well, I think he is, sort of.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
No, I didn't even mean that. I meant in 2026. I think his...
Oh, the midterms.
He is he's the Republicans.
I think obviously that poll shows majority Democrats, but there's a strong number of Republicans who are very unhappy with what's happening. And I would say, there was a moment during, it was night 3 of the Republican National Convention, and that was when they held up the mass deportations now signs all across. It was deportation night at the Republican National Convention. And the Washington Post was doing a broadcast on YouTube. They had a whole panel of people. They were doing their TV version of the Washington Post. And one of the reporters spoke to a woman outside the hall from Arizona, I think, Arizona or New Mexico, and asked, what do you think about these mass deportation signs? And she said, I'm a white woman, but I'm a minority in my community. I teach DACA kids. You can watch it on YouTube. There's like a 5-10 minute interview with her. I don't think they're going to be deporting the grandmothers. They're only going to be deporting the worst of the worst. I think the media is distorting the message. I think the problem here is the messaging. We're not going to mass deport everybody. We're only going to deport the criminals and people who shouldn't definitely be here. I want to call her and ask her how she feels today about that, right? And I think that this poll is representing that because all of us are guilty of this, right? We may have a bias or a prejudice against somebody or a group of people, but we might know one. And they're okay with us, right? You know, it's that great Golden Pond moment where Henry Fonda doesn't like lesbians, but the two down the road, they're my lesbians, so they're okay, right? So I think what's happening now is people are seeing people in their communities who they care about. And I have to say, after January 6th and all of this, I still think there's some people out there who don't want big government, right? You think about the people who have fought against federal intrusion and armed, federal people and FBI. They have been the enemy for many conservatives, and at least ideologically. And to see all this money going into this cosplaying, these poorly trained agents out doing what they're doing, I think that there's some movement here where people are like, I talked to somebody in Maine who is not woke, is not progressive, and does not want federal people in his town, right? He might be a Trump supporter, he might be conservative, but he's anti-federal agents in general.
Who wants this in their town? Well, who wants to see people getting dragged out of cars and people screaming and crying?
Well, if you believe the lie that they're all rapists and murderers, including a 5-year-old boy, you probably do. And a lot of them sadly do.
And if you think that the crime, the misdemeanor of entering the country undocumented, and the only way to actually apply for asylum is, you to come into the country illegally, you think that that's worthy of this chaos. There are definitely going to be people out there who believe that, but I think that this is really a tipping point, and as we get toward the midterms, we'll see if the Democrats are able to capture
I hope this isn't going to go on from now until November.
It absolutely is.
I hope not.
Why would you think it wouldn't?
Because I like to think that
you mean
people are going to be so
deportation
upset. And there's going to be more and more of these protests and more of these.
No, the whole plan here is to get to the Insurrection Act to not have a midterm election. That's the plan. They are going to go every single place that they can where they have a reason that there's fraud that we need to investigate. Is this how you investigate fraud?
Yeah, I think
if we investigated fraud like this, Donald Trump would be in jail.
Now, Sue, one of the reasons we wanted to have you here today, beyond your Thunder Truck, Sue, or whatever the hell you are,
Sue O.C. Thunder Truck.
We couldn't find a doctor, so we figured we'd take you.
Okay.
So when the dark spots on Trump's right hand first appeared, Carolyn Levitt's position was because he shakes so many hands.
Just like John F. Kennedy.
Even though he's a germaphobe, an admitted germaphobe, and as Marty said this morning, you don't see him shaking the hands of many real people.
No.
He will shake the hands of international leaders. That was one. So that was the alleged reason, which nobody bought except Carolyn Levitt, and I guess a few Trump supporters. Now that the same situation can be seen on his left hand, it's his aspirin regimen, and he takes much more than you're supposed to, 4 times as much actually, as an older person is supposed to take. The 81, the baby aspirin, he takes 320 or whatever the hell it is.
Or they're just giving him Skittles and telling him that they're aspirin.
In a serious note, the fact that we have. And by the way, he's not the first to hide conditions. We should be fair. There's a long history of presidents not being transparent. And we are so owed, whether you love Trump, hate him, or don't give a damn, the fact that there is zero transparency about what's going on leads me to my position is when you're lying or not being transparent, you're a public figure, we can draw the worst conclusions. That there's something horrible, you don't want us to know about. What do you draw from all this?
No, he is very ill. I mean, I don't. If you were related to him, I said this during the first term. You know, if he was someone in your family who you loved, you would get him to a neurologist, right? You would push him to have a cognitive test. You would push him to get medical care and medical treatment. Here we are now, 12 years later, and he is worse, right? And the things that he's saying, again, not about the policy, not about the politics, you know, talking about being a baseball player and what his mom thought about him, and just rambling on. There's a story in the New Yorker about how many more words he's saying now when he speaks.
Oh, I didn't see that yet.
And it's a symptom. You know, you don't just ramble on and on unless you're on the radio and you have to fill, and it's a gift. But, you know, so there are some serious health issues, not just mental health, but brain health issues. And on, you know, the outrageous side of it, I wish I could remember who the TikToker was. They looked at a picture of Trump, the picture that is accompanying all these articles with him being orange and purple. He has every color in the rainbow on his body, you know, between the bruising and everything. And he looks terrible. Right? And you can say what you want about Joe Biden. There were days he acted terrible and looked terrible, and there were other days that he was right on point and there was a range, but he didn't often look ill, right? He rode bikes, he went jogging, and of course they were hiding from us, you know, more than they should have, but at the same time, you felt like he had time that he was actually functioning. And with Trump, it's dangerous, and it also, you know, I've always made the argument you're not voting for a person for president. You're voting for an agenda and a team. And if he's not really checked into what's happening, then who is in charge? And that's the worry.
Well, you know, by the way, I would like to believe, this wasn't our topic, but since you brought it up, I would like to believe people vote for a policy and issues. I think the individual is so, I mean, you know, the old tired line, which I totally subscribe to, if Ronald Reagan is run as a liberal, he would have been a two-term president as a liberal because he was so charismatic. And I sort of feel the same way in a perverse way about Trump. Let me make a suggestion, which we've talked a lot on the show. We used to talk to Art Kaplan about it, and about how there was a former, I think he was a doctor and reporter at the New York Times. There was no law, but presidential candidates in the major parties would always submit relatively full medical records. He would analyze them, and then he'd publish them in the New York Times. The thought I had the other day that I didn't think was as ridiculous as many of my notions is, why can't there be a move in Congress to require much more transparency through an independent third party that is grandfathers in Trump, so that it would only go into effect in 2029 of January, when the next president, so if it's a Republican, if it's a Democrat, whoever it is, you're not striking out against your fearless leader. Why is that not being advanced by Democrats?
I think that there should be, and
it would also give him an opportunity indirectly to talk about his lack of transparency.
Right, and they could also just to set the record straight, because as you said, this is not necessarily a political party issue, because there are presidents who have been from every single party who have hidden stuff from us. You know, JFK, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Wilson, goes
Joe
on,
Biden.
you know, goes on, Reagan, goes on and on and on. So this would, close that door. And also the point, there are all sorts of businesses where you have to get a physical in order to be, like, you want to star in a movie? Guess what? You have to pass a physical, and they take insurance out on you. So do we really care that Ryan Reynolds has to have a physical and Donald Trump or whomever the president doesn't? So, I mean, I think the issue is, Jim, just every time someone asks me, what should the Democrats do? It reminds me, or why aren't they doing this? Then I'm wondering what they're doing. Because this would be a great opportunity to bring people together and say, let's close the door on allowing presidents to be to hide their physical illnesses from us.
We're turning to Sue O'Connell. By the way, someone just texted, anonymous texter, local woman wears Dickie, headline in the Boston Globe. For new listeners, I ask you this about once a year. New listeners have no idea why we describe you as local woman. Why do we do that?
Because I was chased by a coyote with my dog, and it made news. And when the Globe reported on it, instead of saying TV's Sue O'Connell or NBC's O'Connell, they wrote local woman chased. And my first thought was, God, if this were Jim Browdy, he would really be angry.
He would really.
I was even angry for you,
local
by
man.
the way.
Okay, who's Blair White?
Oh boy, I just found out about Blair White today.
I didn't know about it. I didn't know either.
So Blair White is a trans person, but prefers to be called a transsexual, not a transgender person. She is heavily into MAGA. She's a big guns right person. She's got a huge YouTube channel. She's a big influencer. And she's, as I said, she's a Make America Great Trump supporter who is very concerned about her gun rights. And, you know, I always love having conversations like this with, you know, the anomaly in the group. Like, everyone thinks that just because you are of something, you therefore must belong to a certain party, right? Or you have a certain political aspect. And again, because there are so few trans people in the world, we can name the two big Republican MAGA trans people.
Jenner.
Yep, Caitlyn Jenner and Blair White. And it's interesting because, you know, Jenner's not so bright, so that's a bit of a problem. Blair White, I did listen to some of her stuff this morning, does seem to be very smart.
She's pretty entertaining. I listened this morning, too.
And also,
she calls it the Blair White Project, which is pretty clever,
funny.
actually.
Yep. And she is very pro-gun and also is trying to offer different opinions as to how, again, calling herself transsexual instead of transgender, saying she's not a woman. And advocating for a separate category of sporting events for trans athletes who want to compete. You know, of course, I always worry about this because I know in some ways it's great to have conversations and have people sort of in the belly of the beast talking to people who otherwise might hate them. But in the end, they never. I'm not really sure how many hearts and minds she's changing just in general around the humanhood of trans people. But, you know, I think that any conversation that folks can have to move things forward, especially when you're centering it from the people who are experiencing it, I think it's good. But I'm going to listen to more of her and watch more of her stuff for sure.
Okay, let's get back to my favorite topic of the last 2 weeks. That, of course, would be heated rivalry. The story about the
I've watched 3 now, by the way, because of you. I'm up to 3.
Yeah, the third episode's pretty good, wasn't it?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, if you watch this, I forget.
No, what is this? I'm sorry. I don't watch anything gay, Marjorie, because I'm surrounded by them.
Okay. Well, episode 3 was pretty good, as Jim just said. But people are talking about this all over the place. People are lining up in Rockefeller Center to see one of the stars come in, and one of them was on Jimmy Fallon's show, and we called it Beatlemania. And now, of course, Christopher Muther gets into the action. Yep. He's writing a piece about whether this is going to change things in hockey. Because they're 2 star hockey players. I don't know if it's going to change things in hockey.
Well, you know what I think? I think every time this happens, it does move the puck forward. You're welcome. And it does allow
from a local woman,
folks to, you know, the Olympics have a lot more out gay athletes than team professional sports, which is always, especially for men. Women are more, lesbians are more out on professional sports. But what I do think is also interesting is some of the biggest shows that are out right now that folks are collectively watching and talking about have huge homosexual love stories in them.
What
like
else?
Hunting Wives is the other one, which is got a lot of lesbian, female, one-on-one girl action in it, and that's set in, I think, Texas, and it's a bunch of Republican women and one northerner who's a transplant who gets involved in it. So you can just imagine everybody, you know, sitting at home watching these LGBTQ love stories and then going out and protesting against us. But at the same time, you know, I do think anytime it happens, it does move the idea forward. I mean, I've never really understood why. You know, when you look at your stereotypical gay young man, why you think they wouldn't be an exceptional athlete and teammate, and why there's this idea that, you know, that they're less than one of the others.
Well, I think it's broader. You know, Christopher's will be with us Monday, by the way, and he'll make his own case. I don't buy the notion that all of a sudden NHL players are going to start coming out, which is, I shouldn't say his thesis. He just says, is that possible? You and we have discussed this probably for, what is it?
They're going to be the Olympic torchbearers. NBC News is reporting the 2 guys from Heated Rivalry, Williams and Story, are officially torchbearers leading up to the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics
There's
opening ceremony.
There's a flaming joke in there somewhere. I'm not quick enough to get it out right now, but...
Wow.
I think you did, actually.
I did.
Wow. That's that's a big deal.
I guess, yes. Yay, NBC.
Yeah, okay. NBC. Okay.
That's huge.
February 6th, I think
that
it says.
Is incredible.
Yeah, the Olympics are coming.
Can I, you and I started to say this. How long have we been doing this together? 20 years?
Oh, gosh, Jim, yes. No,
Okay.
longer than that.
Okay, whatever. We've been talking a long time.
Long time.
Through all progression in terms of tolerance for people who are not like some other people. And we've discussed a million times the huge impact media has on whether it's black people, gay people, Latinos, whatever it is. I feel the same way about this thing. I have no idea what the impact is going to be within hockey.
Listen,
in the general community, if you like the show, you like the guys, you like the story, I think it's not conscious, but subliminally, you start to change your attitude.
Yeah, and I think there's also a step forward here. I think that something happened during COVID where heterosexual couples started watching TV together and shows and streaming together. And I think it actually changed. Like, so we're staying in more often, and now we're watching shows together more often. I don't have any evidence of this, just people I talk to.
Just say it anyway, it's fine.
And men are watching their girlfriend shows or wife shows with them. So they're watching Bridgerton, and they're seeing same-sex sexual activity. They're watching heated rivalry. So the idea that you would have a heterosexual normative man sitting down with his wife watching a gay scene and not getting up off the couch going, I'll be back when this is over. I'm not going to watch that. I can't. I think that speaks to the progress of it's just, that they're watching it alone. They're not like, my hairdresser was talking about this, how her partner is, can we watch Heated Rivalry now? Or I need a break. I got to watch Landman because I'm over Bridgerton right now. So I do think it does make things more normal.
Yeah, and it plays against the stereotype. I mean, hockey's thought of very macho
Listen,
sport.
Sports are gay.
Football, very
All
macho.
male sports are gay, okay? Football is the gayest. Rugby, how much gayer can you get than rugby?
They're always patting each other's behinds.
They're hitting each other. They're wearing tight pants. It's gay.
On commercial radio, I don't know why we've done it here. We found out in the middle of a show once that the original Olympics were naked guys.
Naked guys.
Naked guys oiled up. And,
yes.
Is that what's...
All of
Why
our
you-
West,
I mean, isn't that right?
all of our
the Greeks were all gay.
Exactly, and they're doing all the wrestling kind of moves with their oiled up whatevers.
All gay. All sports are gay. And I think
Exactly.
that reaction is that people start getting upset, like, oh, no, it's really gay. I mean, men spend all their time, the whole football experience, right, for men. I'm stealing this from a comic who I don't know her name. I'll have to come back. But they go and get a man's name, and they buy a jersey, and they put it on their back, and they walk around worshiping that man at a stadium where they all stand together and drink and eat and have fun and watch men crushing into each other. That's pretty gay.
But let me tell you something. Not everybody's going to be doing that because an anonymous texter just wrote, I was dreading the storm. But now that I know that Sue will be out on the road reporting Sunday from noon to 11, I am looking forward to her reporting. Here's the key and the relevance. In fact, I would rather watch Sue than a football game.
There you go.
There you
Isn't
go.
that great? And I'm gay, too. So it all works out
like
well.
a threefer, exactly.
Okay.
Is that it?
Sue O'Connell.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good
We're
luck
going to
on
see
Sunday.
you or just hear you?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be in the truck.
Oh, my God.
We're tuning in. We're tuning in.
I am
Absolutely.
so tuning in.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
I should probably watch what they've done in the past. Or no, I'll just do it and see how it works out. I don't know.
Okay.
Thunder Truck Sue. We'll
Thunder
see you
Truck.
Sunday.
All right. We've been speaking with media maven Sue O'Connell and Storm Troubadour, our favorite local woman, co-publisher of South End News and Bay Windows. We'll catch her this weekend. She does all the storm coverage for NBC 10 Boston.
All of it.
In the Weather Thunder Truck.
Thunder Truck.
The Thunder Truck. Thank you, Sue. Coming up after this quick break, we know what Sue will be doing this weekend, but we're going to open the lines here about how you are preparing for this weekend's storm. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You're listening to GBH, BPR on 89.7 GBH Live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Arun Roth. Today on GBH's All Things Considered, Boston activists and union members rally today alongside Minnesota residents protesting ICE. And a major winter storm is expected to hit the eastern U.S. this weekend, putting tens of millions at risk. Meanwhile, federal cuts are threatening efforts to understand extreme weather. Those stories and all the day's news starting at 4 on GBH 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Bryant University, ranked 5th in the nation for internships and recruiter demand by LinkedIn's 2025 Top Colleagues list. Committed to preparing students to be day one ready for success. Learn more at bryant.edu. And Vivo Performing Arts, formerly Celebrity Series, presenting Grammy Award winner and NEA Jazz Master Diane Reeves. February 6th at Berklee Performance Center. Tickets at vivoperformingarts.org.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan and Jim Brody. We're live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. By the way, we want to remind people, is that something weird happening? What do we do about that, friends? Is that going to disappear in a second?
I don't know.
Hello? Yeah, it did. Thank you very much for dealing with that, whoever was kind enough to do it. I want to remind you, in 30 minutes, Jared, Callie, and Edgar, I assume that's a threesome today for the Culture Show, live at the library. Hope you will stick around or show up. But first, we're ending the show in the week looking ahead, as Marjorie said, to this monster storm heading our way on Sunday. You heard what Dave Epstein said, no equivocation at all. 12 to 18 inches. Some people are even saying as much as 24. So we want to know everything. Are you stocking up on bread, milk, eggs, tuna, fish? Why do we tend to go for the perishables when a storm is coming? You're looking forward to the potential for a snow day or dreading the back-breaking labor of shoveling out more than a foot of snow. By the way, we still plan on live programming on Monday. We have all kinds of backup plans in case I get stuck in my red room, which my coworkers call the red sex room, which it is not, only to reemerge at the end of March. It's our biggest snowstorm potentially in years. How are you planning to weather it? Are you joyous that it's happening? Are you depressed as I am? And as Marjorie is, are you worried about ice dams, even though she's happy, frozen pipes? And we learned about this morning outdoor spigots, which we'll tell you about in a minute. 877-301-8970. Now, I thought I knew everything about preparation.
I didn't know about the spigots.
Neither did I.
With these sock things,
well, no,
like
first,
sock faucets.
If you have a hose.
Hose.
I said hose. If you have a hose attached to an outside spigot, you know what you got to do with it?
Disconnect it.
Take it off.
Yep.
And that's not enough, Marjorie, as we learned this morning. What else do you have to do?
You need like a sock puppet to put over it.
It's not a sock puppet. It is a spigot. It's a spigot sock.
Spigot
that
sock.
you then tie around the spigot. And by the way, I want you to know, people think I'm not nice enough to Marjorie. There were 2 left at a hardware store in Cambridge, and my daughter went and bought the last 2.
I'm grateful to her.
One of which is arguably for Marjorie. We shall see.
A spigot sock.
So that's it. Secondly, on the pipe issue, I'd like to speak to this because Dave Epstein confirmed what I had said. You run, not a little tick, 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 tick.
No, he said a little bit more than that.
A modest flow.
Yeah, modest flow.
Of both
warm and
cold and hot water, or else your pipes might explode, which is a really expensive enterprise.
And you open the cabinets so that the heat, which you want to leave it about
around the pipes, you mean?
Yeah, like if you have your heat, you want to make sure the heat gets to the pipes, and you should be at least above 60. What do you do if you lose power? Then you're really screwed.
You move to somebody's house. Now, let me just tell you one other thing. Marjorie, the reason a lot of people say, why are the guys from this old house who used to be on the show fairly regularly not on anymore? The answer is quite simple. They were sick of answering Marjorie's questions about ice dams. It could be that August they'd be on the show, and Marjorie would say, there's a caller. There was no caller. There's a caller who wants to know how to deal with ice dams, and frankly, like me, they got fed up. So if you want to talk about ice dams, pipes, spigots, preparation, both of us have a lot of experience about what groceries you should buy to prepare. We are here for you at 877-301-8970. And please, if you have tips for other people about how to prepare, my same daughter was saying we should buy car covers to cover our cars. I said no, and I don't know why I said no. Should I have said no?
Well, then you just have to pull the snow off the car cover, won't
Maybe
you?
that's why I said no. I'm not sure.
I don't know. A lot of people pull their windshield wipers away from the windshield, so
that's a good move. So they don't get frozen.
The snow doesn't get frozen, and you could do that. You know, my God, this was from 2015. This clip, because it was right before or after. When was that horrible storm in 2015?
That was when Charlie Baker, February of 2015.
Okay.
And Charlie was. I shouldn't call Charlie. The governor was in our studio looking across, and he talked about it on the air. at the guys on the roof of the New Balance outlet
Yes,
shoveling the snow.
because it's a flat roof.
Flat roof.
That's very bad to have in conditions like this. And they had that great picture. Of course, the T was worse then than it is
The
now.
Long March.
And they had this picture in the Globe of these people with like snow up to their
was
waist,
great.
practically trudging through the snow, and the red line broke down. But ice dams are all over the place. That's why there was concern. And some people, the ice dams would like flood their kitchen or flood their whole house. It was like a disaster.
Very sad.
So here we are talking with Richard Trethewey and Tom Silva.
Oh, I didn't know we had this.
We have a clip.
Oh,
this is
great.
back from Boston Public Radio in December
Oh, great.
2015. This is my cousin asking the question about heating with mini splits. Now, my cousin has a question.
My cousin. She's back. What does she
That's
want?
right.
My cousin Marjorie.
She wants to know about these mini splits.
By the way, what's your cousin's name? Just respectfully, what's her name?
It's Jessica.
Jessica.
Jessica's concerned about the mini splits. Are these a good idea?
I've always loved Jessica. She's really good.
She's terrific.
Yeah.
She
How
is
come
really
she never calls, actually? Why does...
She calls, but always late.
Okay. Jessica's just going to hunker down.
She is.
Hope for the best. Okay, that was mini splits, not ice dams.
Yeah, but that's what they.
Although it is good if you have mini splits to turn that up high if you have them near the pipes so the
Yeah.
pipes don't burst. You don't want the pipes to burst. That's a real problem.
Know what you can also do this is if the pipes freeze. I'm not going to even get into what you do if the pipes freeze. Don't let them freeze. It's a harsh show. It happened to me one year. It is really a
But
harsh
you have
show.
a solution for the ice dams.
I do.
Tell us the solution.
Well,
You're not going to be able to get it by Sunday, though, are you?
Well, maybe you can.
Monday.
Is a person before our Boston handywoman, Sarah, who we both love.
We love her. She's great.
Who both came into both of our lives. Fred preceded her, and Fred went out on the roof off the kitchen where the ice dams formed, and he put these coils out there, which you turn on. And you know what they do, Marjorie? They melt the snow and ice as it falls.
Oh, my goodness. Somebody just said they were at Market Basket in Maynard, and Jim, they have no bananas. They're all out.
That's horrible.
Already.
Yeah.
Okay, 877-301-8970.
Who cares
How are you
if they have
dealing?
no bananas?
What?
Who eats bananas in a snowstorm? You
know what's good in a snowstorm?
cares?
Soup.
Soup is good.
Soup is very
Why
good.
do you think? Why is
Because
is
it's
that? Because
hot.
it's hot.
It's hot. I think it's hot. It's liquidy. It's a hot liquid. It's very nice. Hot toddies. Some people like hot toddies.
love
you know?
a hot toddy.
Or the drinks with the scotch and the lemon and the honey in them. Those are really
What's
good
that
too.
called? I love those drinks.
I don't know what it's called, but
Okay.
they're really good. Okay,
Good.
Sarah in the car. What do you think, Sarah?
Hello, Sarah.
I just got through shopping at Market Basket in Waltham,
Please, yes.
and
tell us.
it's insane, the parking lot. And once you get inside, it's equally insane. There's people like gridlocking to get to the parking. Once you get in, there's gridlocking in the aisles with the baskets.
Wow.
Very sad
But,
story.
I
What'd you buy?
I just got hot soup.
Oh, you only
I
wait.
got their
That's it?
hot soup.
But that was all you got?
And
Oh.
no. Then I went over to the reduced bakery and got a pumpkin pie and
excellent
stuff that I would not ordinarily eat. It's like, yes, you have to have carbs in a snowstorm.
You have to have carbs. That's
So-
right.
That is brilliant,
Did you
Sarah.
check out the bananas? There was a concern about bananas being missing in Maynard. You had bananas at the Market Basket with you, Sarah. Did you check that out?
You couldn't get as far as the fruit. I mean, you couldn't
Oh, my
get
God.
down the mile.
Sounds like hell.
It's dog eat dog. It's
Sarah,
a mad
we admire
mob
you
scene.
for weathering that kind of situation. That's brilliant. Sarah, thank you for the call. Matt from Narragansett actually has a very good suggestion. If Jim decides not to give Marjorie the extra spigot socks, she can just use the ridiculous red wool socks that
That's
he
right.
bought for Christmas several years ago, which she's never used.
That's true. That's true. Because they were so thick, I couldn't fit them in my shoes. But you're right. It could be used for a spigot sock. I don't even get the idea, though. The idea is that the water doesn't freeze.
I have no idea. All
We
I
don't
did, I
know.
looked it up this morning about what you should
Yeah.
do to prepare for a storm, and I do this every year. And I had never heard about an outdoor hose and spigot, which makes sense. And I acted, Marjorie, on both of our behalves.
I
now
appreciate
own
it,
2
Jim.
Spigot
you know,
socks.
a Spigot sock, and I'm going to get it from you on Sunday when I go to pick up my stuff at the station. Okay, everyone. A texter wants to know if everyone has their Eton Crank radio ready for use this weekend.
Explain
That's
what that
very
is,
important,
please.
too. Well, it's one of our gifts we have during Pledge, and it's brilliant because if you do lose your power, which some of us may, unfortunately, you can charge up your phone.
Yep.
You can get information, AM, FM
Well,
radio.
how do you get the power to do that, Marjorie?
You crank it. That's why we
Crank
call
that
it the
baby.
Eton Crank Radio. You crank it up, it gives it power, and you are all set. You can charge almost everything on that little baby.
By the way, can I be clear, because you left out something really
What?
important. It is not called the Eton Crank Radio. It's the Eton Emergency Crank Radio,
Emergency Crank
thus
Radio.
making the
You
point.
are correct.
Let's
now,
go.
Josh from Cranston wants to know about roof rakes. Do yourself a favor and invest in a roof rake. Takes
Who
the
said
snow
on
right
the
off.
didn't someone
the
on the
roof.
show today say they had a roof?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, Jamie said he did it.
Yeah,
That was,
you have to have if you have a high house though, you're out of luck, right? You can't really do it with you got to have. I got a high house
Well,
there.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Now, anonymous texter says, Nashua Market Basket. Listen to this. No carriages.
Oh, no.
Waited on the speed checkout line for 20 minutes. I mean, this is a big deal.
My God. It's a stampede at every market basket.
By the way, if you
get trampled.
Anonymous texter said, the Newton Star Market is packed. I had to use the bus lane to get there. Okay. By the way, this is a serious situation, which Marjorie, as always, is belittling. If you go to your local community's website, like Boston or your town, everybody's got precautions, what's going to be closed, what you should do, all that sort of stuff. 877-301-8970. Katie in Situate. Hey, Katie. Hi.
It's your favorite aggressive cleaner.
Oh, we love you, Katie. Hi.
Great.
Are you where at Market Basket?
Warwick, Rhode Island.
And?
I literally just walked in. There weren't any shopping carts. I had to wait.
Wow.
Where are you?
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Warwick, Rhode Island. Even Rhode Island is
Now,
being
Katie,
deluged.
talk about the psychological pain that's caused when there's not one carriage and you don't know how long it's going to be.
Well, you know what? If you can't pack your patience during a blizzard in a first world country, you really need to self-check yourself. But
that's grown up. That's
I
very
love
good.
winter. My husband owns a roof rake. We have a well. We'll fill up the water. And we're just going to hunker down and make pizza and chicken wings for the football game.
Your
There you
attitude
go.
is excellent.
Hunkering down.
Excellent.
This is a good time for hygge. How do you...
Hygge.
Hygge.
That Danish woman called the other day and said I was wrong. But
Yeah.
I
Explain what it
challenged
is,
that.
Jim, for people that missed it.
Look at hey, thank you for the call. By the way, a lot of people, if we could get more texters responding to the banana issue. Here is an anonymous texter. I just bought bananas at Market Basket in Sagamore.
Well,
so you'd rush to the Cape if I were you.
Apparently, there are no bananas at the Whole Foods in Weymouth either.
Well, that's not a big deal. You drive from Weymouth to Sagamore and you got them.
Somebody's at Roach Brothers in Westwood.
Very crowded.
There could be trampling
Yeah.
going on over there.
Troy in Fitchburg says, I have a full handle of liquor, full gas can for the snowblower and for snacks. What do you eat? Is really soup your deal? Is that what you do?
I like soup.
Stews. Stews are really...
I like French toast and pancakes.
If you use one of the 6 crock pots I bought you that you never used also. By the way, tomorrow morning you get
Power
up.
make go out, Jim.
There's no snow tomorrow. No, you make it tomorrow. You make the crock pot stew tomorrow. It cooks all day. You got this warm, beautiful smelling stuff ready for the storm.
Can you believe this is Carla from Seattle? I don't know if she's... Carla, if she's trying to fool us. She wants to know, what is a carriage, please?
I never heard the term carriage till I moved here. No.
What do you call it?
Cart.
Oh, a cart.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Okay, a carriage is a cart. That's
At
what
a
it is.
supermarket, yeah.
At a supermarket, that's right.
By the way, this is somebody...
Anonymous texter wants to know if someone
is for me, I
can
think.
check the liverwurst stock at Market Basket in Somerville, asking for a friend.
Well, thank you. It's very kind.
877-301-8970. Oops, we just lost Billy. Oh, he's back.
Billy's back.
Billy from Holliston. Hi, Billy.
Hello, Billy.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Well, I'd like to tell you what I'm not doing, actually, and what I'm not doing to prepare. I'm not going out and buying a new shovel because it seems like whenever a new storm comes and the news stations go to the hardware store, everyone's buying a new shovel. Are they throwing them out every year after they're done with them?
That is a great point.
My dad has owned the same one since the 70s, and they still do the same thing.
That That is, I can't believe we didn't think of that. That is brilliant. So what are you doing? If you're not buying a shovel, what are you doing, Billy and Holliston?
Well, I'm also not going to the grocery store because I own food already. I don't need to get more food.
You are, let me tell you something, Billy. We are so happy you chose the call. Thank you for your call. We appreciate it. Now, listen to these.
Yeah. There's something going on with bananas.
Yeah.
In the Bedford Market Basket, no parking. You had to wait for a spot. No carriages. Yes, there are no bananas today. And this next texter says, my wife was at the Star Market in Boston this morning, and the bananas were frozen.
Wow.
Did we tariff all the places? Can we blame this on Trump?
I can't remember. That was a big issue, and I thought he may have removed. Can you check that out if bananas are tariffed? I mean, they're so cheap, frankly, that even if they're tariffed, that's not as bad as some other things. Listen to this.
There are bananas, Jim.
Where?
At Wegmans in Westwood.
Oh, that's good.
No shallots or cabbage, though.
Tons of bananas. It's Rob from Dover. No, this is not true. Anonymous texters. Oh my God.
Liliana from Fall River.
Where have you been?
We haven't heard from you in a long time.
Liliana, how are you?
I am fine. I have been. I have a new knee.
A new knee.
I had a knee a new knee. I had a knee replacement.
Congratulations.
So I was a little down and all that.
But you're good now?
I'm fine now.
Good.
Oh yes.
We missed
I got
you.
A good. I miss you too.
Well,
I was supposed to come up
I know.
to have tea at the library because it was my birthday around Christmas.
I know. We wanted that.
I'm coming in the spring with my granddaughter.
Oh, we would
That's
love
great.
that, Liliana. We really look forward to it.
Yes.
How are you dealing with the storm?
Okay, I just got back from job lot. I spent $100 on batteries, flashlights, what did I buy? Pasta, my Italian pasta.
Pasta, yeah.
And then I had to drive to Tiverton to find some chickens because the Stop and Shop, they look like pigeons.
Like
They were
pigeons.
little scrawny little-
I'm not eating a pigeon either. Liliana, how many batteries did you buy?
I bought, like 14 AAA and 14 the other one.
So, Liliana, who shovels for you in Fall River?
Oh, I have a wonderful eye candy that shovels my
Eye candy.
Liliana, we're getting report that
the best.
there's no bananas at the Market Basket in Fall River either. Do you know anything about that?
That's why she went to Job Lot.
That's when she went to Job Lot,
No, I went to job lot. Now, Market Basket, no, I didn't go there because I knew it was going to be a nightmare because it's always a nightmare there.
Yes.
It's so many people. Yes.
Hey, Liliana.
I couldn't buy my Jerry Garcia because it was too expensive.
Okay.
Now, we want, in a moment of seriousness, before we say it, we talk about you all the time.
We want to meet
in our
you,
meetings.
Liliana.
So we'll see you in the spring. Good luck with the knee.
Let us know when you're coming so we're sure to be
she
here.
will.
I will.
Okay.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, ciao, ciao.
Thank
Ciao
you.
to you,
Bye-bye.
too.
Now,
Bye.
I don't know. I'm suspicious about this text.
What?
Well, Wayne from New Hampshire claims
What did he say?
that he survived shopping at the Nashua Market Basket.
Okay.
I bought my own carriage.
No, he brought his own card, he said.
That's right. He brought his own and sold it for $250 when he left 4 hours later.
Why do you doubt? I'd buy it for $250.
Well, first of all, that's a lot to pay for a cart or a carriage, and it took him 4 hours to get through the store.
Can I tell you something? A good carriage, you put down $250. I mean, you really.
Okay.
That's what I got you for your birthday.
Oh,
Brother.
thank you, a carriage.
Here's an anonymous texter. Apparently, we have a lot of people going to Market Basket. I just called my local Market Basket to see if they are out of bananas, and they verified, yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. Thank you very much. For you young people, Google that and figure it out.
Jesse in Cambridge, what's up? What's doing over there?
Hello, Jesse.
Well, I do have something to say that matters, but first, I have 3 bananas, which I'll sell for $10, and 3 cans of tuna. I'm sorry, they'll go for $25 each, and no carriages to sell. Sorry.
You got to do what you got to do, my friend. Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
Anyway, the serious sort of part that I wanted to say is we had really bad snow dams, ice dams in Connecticut some years ago. I went out and bought a snow rake, and it's kind of fun to use. It's a very long pole.
Yeah, I know.
It's sort of like a scraper, and you can take the snow off the edges where the ice dams form. and I got the last one at Home Depot that year. If you have a fairly low-pitched roof, it's great to use. And there goes the serious part. I'm with Billy. I have food in the house. I've got a shovel. I've got 4 shovels that I've used for different things.
Yeah.
I've chopped so much ice and cleared storm drains that it's like something to do.
Yeah, but don't you feel, wait a second, but don't you feel like you're missing out on what, let's call it an anthropological opportunity to go out and try to buy something new to add to your stash there? I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that, Jim. Today's my birthday, and I'm going to go to Trader Joe's and either buy some small cake or a donut to stick a candle in the middle of.
Happy damn birthday, Jesse. That is to call us on your birthday is really moving.
We have something. We do
Thank
have
you,
something.
Jesse.
We do have something new this year, though.
What is that?
We have the sock faucet.
The sock? No, it's not a sock faucet. It is a faucet sock.
Faucet sock.
And it covers. Do you even understand what this is? It covers the spigot.
It covers the spigot.
And
That's
what does
correct.
it do, Marjorie?
Well, supposedly it's going to keep the. That's what I don't understand. If you got rid of the hose and there's no water in the spigot, but nonetheless you have to put the sock over the spigot to keep the water from freezing.
Can I say one thing? The only sad part of this is that you don't have one. And that's the.
Well, you said you were buying me one, Jim.
I did, but can I tell you something? I've been offered a lot of money for the second one.
Okay.
There's a photo. Can we put that up on the screen?
Yeah.
It looks rather.
It's very attractive.
It's fairly attractive. It looks,
yeah.
Now,
Nicole,
who works with us, our colleague Nicole, tell what she did.
Well, this is
really impressive.
She's an investigative reporter. She called the Fall River Market Basket, and they said they have enough bananas for the weekend, and people are panicking and fear-mongering.
Now, Nicole, if you don't mind, could you call them back and say, what is enough? Because don't you think that's a subjective kind of thing here?
That's right. Molly from West Newbury. What do you think,
Hello,
Molly?
Molly.
Hi, I'm heading to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where there is no snow.
Is that true?
And I'm setting up the whole West is dry, and we're getting it here. So I'm helping my dog sitter get set up with a generator and all the stuff to keep her safe, and hoping for the best.
What do you do with the dog? Marjorie's mentioning when
About
her
the
beautiful
paws
dog
get frostbitten.
Well, you had a tiny dog who would sink in the snow.
I'd take him for a walk, and they'd climb up on top of the snowbank, and then all of a sudden he'd disappear in the snowbank. We had to hoist
So how
him
do you
back
walk
out
the
again.
dog? How does this person walk the dog, Molly?
Last time this happened in 2015 when we had this much snow, they're about 50 pounds tall, and they literally disappeared into the snowbank. So they go out, get their stuff done, and get back in.
Well, you got it all
You're
solved.
not supposed to leave them out for long, right?
Enjoy your trip, Molly.
The little paws
I know that.
can get frostbitten.
Did you put that beautiful photograph up and I missed it? We're going to put it up in a second. It's not a sock puppet. That is what is it called? A spigot sock.
A spigot sock.
Okay, now
it's very attractive.
Brian, we have like almost investigative listeners. Listen to this. This is brilliant. Everybody's doing this. This is Brian from Rhode Island. Just came out of Walmart in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. A woman in a ride cart hip checked me out of line. That's how brutal it is right now.
Well, I mean,
it is dog eat damn dog.
The guy spent 4 hours at the Nashua up at the Market Basket. That's insane. 4
Here's
hours
good
at the
news.
store.
Read the anonymous text. This is very
Anonymous
good news.
texter, Market Basket in Plymouth. I was there at 7 a.m., left at 8 a.m., and turned into a nightmare before my eyes. However, they had 1 billion bananas.
That's great. That was at 8 a.m.
Great.
Let's see what they have now.
John in Plastown, New Hampshire. Thank you for calling.
Hey, John.
Hi.
Hi.
First time, long time.
Oh, wow.
Great. Thank you.
And I love it, yes. And so I have a solution for ice dams.
Please.
What you do is you fill the sock, you fill like a nylon up with the salt you use for melting your driveway.
Yeah.
And you throw it up on the roof where the ice dams are, and within a day or two it melts melts troughs. So you do quite a few, and it's able to drain.
Can I tell you something, John? That was the most valuable first call we've had in 26 years.
Yeah, except
wow.
if your house
John,
is
thank
60
you.
feet high, you're not going to be able to do that.
Hire someone to go up there.
Yeah, you have to get. Yeah, you
John,
have to
that
go
was
up
fabulous.
there on
Call us again
a ladder
soon.
like a firefighter to go do that.
Now, do you have any bananas or not? Yes or no?
I do have bananas.
You do have bananas.
Yeah.
Do you do that in preparation of this is Jared
I don't
Bowen, if you're not
understand
clear.
this. I really don't understand
There's a banana shortage.
No,
in there.
that I understand. But do we not? Does nobody have food in their house? And how long do we expect to be in our houses? pauses.
Well, it's not going to, no, excuse me. If you were listening when Dave Epstein was on, I asked a brilliant question. Since it's not going to reach 32 for at least a week, it is not going to melt for at least a week.
Right.
So you're going to have 1.5 feet of snow at least everywhere for at least a week.
And Jim won't be able to come out of his house.
Yeah. I still don't understand. I still don't follow.
Well, let me just say, I wasn't going to say this, but you brought it up. I asked Marjorie if she'd come over and shovel. I asked her 3 times, and she said no, and so Jamie's doing it.
How is she going to get there after she does mine?
That's right. Well, I had an exchange. Jim told me he'd get me the sock puppet, or whatever it is.
I got you a sock. My daughter got you a sock puppet.
The faucet. Yeah, do you know about this?
Did you know about that?
I didn't know about putting an oven mitt on your faucet. No, I just saw this.
Yeah.
In all seriousness,
Yeah,
it is
there it is.
everywhere.
There it is.
There it is again.
I mean, but didn't we last
navy blue
decades without ever having done this?
That is what I said this morning. That is a very good point. But I would say once you know, it changes the whole dynamic. Do you know what I'm saying?
But you can unknow it, basically. Like, I never understand the running out and getting the milk and all of that stuff. I never understand it.
Well, it makes you feel secure.
Wait a second. We have some really good breaking news.
What?
Nicole, again, this is our same Nicole. She's our coworker. She called the Plymouth Market Basket again. Remember how they had enough 10 minutes ago?
That was in Fall River.
Did you really?
Well, they now say, come quick for bananas. They're going fast, but only have a few left. So if you're in the Plymouth area, even if you're not in the Plymouth area, if you need a banana, get the Plymouth and step on it.
You can't make it through the blizzard without a stock of bananas.
I have to say, the thing I'm concerned about is nachos. I don't have makings for nachos for Sunday.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
That is a problem. The big football game is on Sunday, right? Suppose the power's out for the big football game. What would we do?
Be disastrous.
Then you can have the Eton Crank radio and be able to listen to it on the radio. All right, Jared, what are you doing over there?
Roger, you can come up and hold the antennas over my house right after you finish shoveling.
We're saying this because she's very fit and athletic, and that's all. It's not sexist.
You'll do that for me, right?
I'll do it, sure. Yeah.
Okay, go. What do you got going there?
So the Oscar nominations, of course, are out. We'll go over the Oscar nominations and the surprises and the snubs.
And Sinner's all-time record?
All-time. Beyond Titanic, beyond All About Eve, all-time record.
That's incredible.
We'll talk about that. Big sad news in Williamstown that the theater festival, well, I don't know if it's completely sad, but they're not happening this year, the Williamstown Theater Festival, but there is sort of lighter news ahead, and then we'll talk about Green Day opening up for the Super Bowl.
I was stunned, by the way. They're not worried about upsetting Trump?
Clearly
They've got Bad Bunny and Green Day?
Look at the response to Bad Bunny, and then they go and book Green Day. This is fascinating.
That's great.
And carry the torch in the Olympics is going to be the guys from Heated
Rivalry.
Rivalry.
Did you hear that?
They're going to be the torch carriers.
We just heard that in the middle of the show.
Olympics.
I can't do the show. I have to go watch. I have to go watch all the buzz about this.
The Culture Show in a minute and a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you very
Jared.
much,
Bye.
everybody listening to Boston Public Radio. Thanks to everybody who came down to the Boston Public Library. We really appreciate it. Keep up with us 24/7 by way of our podcast, or check out our TikTok page, which is terrific, at Boston Public Radio. Nicole does that for us. Tune in on Monday. We hope to be live in Brighton. We hope so. We'll speak with Boston Globe editor Brian McGrory, Michael Curry from the Mass League Community Health Centers, and MIT's John Gruber on how all this alienation from our allies is affecting our economy. Our crew: Zoe Matthews, Nicole Garcia, Hannah Loss, our engineer John the Claw Parker, our executive producer Jamie Bologna. Special thanks to our BPL staff.
We have another correspondent, Shirley Leung of the Boston Globe. Lots of bananas at Quincy Target this morning.
Target?
There you go. That's where she went. Thank you, Shirley. I'm sorry.
Thank you to Maddie Geyer, Patrick Lally, Sandra Lopez Burke, our host of the Newsfeed Cafe, and across the street at the Lenox Hotel. The Culture Show's Week in Review with all the Oscars starts right after we are done. 89.7 GBH. I'm Marjorie Egan.
And seriously, stay safe, and we'll see you Monday.
Stay safe, and I hope you hang in there, and we'll be back, we hope, on Monday. Have a great weekend.
What's trending? What's interesting? What's going on around town? We're talking all things arts and culture on The Culture Show, next on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And the Boston Symphony Orchestra. This month, the E Pluribus Unum Festival explores American music, history, and ideals through performances and in-depth conversations at Symphony Hall and around Greater Boston. BSO.org. If you're looking for grit, a little wit, and a whole lot of comfy knits, then you're in luck. Catch new episodes of Miss Scarlet at 8, All Creatures Great and Small at 9, and Bookish at 10. Sunday on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Are staffing up ahead of dangerous cold and a foot or more of snow forecast for this weekend. Worcester's DPW Commissioner John Westerling says plows and sanders are ready in the city of Seven Hills.
We're aware of those hills. We've got historical information on accidents and cars and vehicles being stuck on those. So we do pay more attention to make sure that emergency vehicles can move safely through the city.
The severe weather starts with an Arctic air mass tonight. The wind chill could drop to 15 or 20 below zero by tomorrow morning. Snow is forecast to arrive by mid-morning on Sunday. Highway officials say travel is not recommended starting late Sunday morning into Monday. They're asking everybody to stay home if you can, so plows can move the snow and sanders can treat the roads. New Englanders are relatively familiar with the impact of heavy snow and ice, but that's not true for many people in the southern U.S. MSPCA Angel says more than a dozen dogs are on their way from Mississippi to Massachusetts, as several counties in the southern state are under an ice storm warning and winter snow warnings. 18 dogs are expected to arrive at Worcester Regional Airport this afternoon. They'll be met by vans and transported to the MSPCA Angel Northeast Animal Shelter in Salem. Mike Kiley, Vice President of the Animal Protection Division, says they're taking in the animals to free up kennel space so their partners in Mississippi can shelter animals impacted by the storm. Kiley says shelters often need to make space for pets that get lost or need temporary housing because their owners' homes are damaged or left without power for days on end. A sunny Friday with highs in the 30s this afternoon. A cold weather advisory is in effect from 10 o'clock tonight until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Clear skies overnight, lows in the single digits, very low wind chill. Sunny tomorrow, highs in the teens, and clear and very cold Saturday night, then snow on Sunday. Right now it's 31 in Boston. This is GBH.
I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on The Culture Show, award season. The Oscar nominations are out. Sinners leads the pack with Hamnet and One Battle After Another landing major nods. And a big surprise, Wicked couldn't cast its spell on the Best Picture category despite its box office dominance. From the reverential Academy to irreverent Razzies. In their annual naming and shaming of Hollywood's biggest misfires, they're targeting Snow White and War of the Worlds. Plus, winners of the annual Public Domain Film Remix Contest, a showcase for artists who rework public domain films into strange, funny, and surprising new cinema, and where Marlene Dietrich has been bounced for Betty Boop. We'll also raise the curtain on a major upset in the theater world. Williamstown Theater Festival is skipping its 2026 summer season, putting the pause on a major Berkshire's institution and Broadway pipeline, not to mention raising big questions about the future of American theater. And Green Day on the gridiron. With the punk rockers opening the Super Bowl ceremony, is this three-chord rebellion moving the goalposts on who gets the biggest stage in American spectacle? We take on that and more right now on our Arts and Culture Week in Review.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Welcome to the Culture Show on 89.7 GBH and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm Jared Bowen.
I'm Callie Crossley.
And I'm Edgar B. Herwick III.
We're going over the top arts and culture headlines. That was the Oscars music there, which I just jumped over. Let's get into the mood and set the scene with the Oscars music. Yes, it is the season. The nominations came out this week. The race is on, and Ryan Coogler's Sinners leads the pack with a record-breaking 16 nods, followed by One Battle After Another, and a crowded Best Picture field that includes Hamnet, Begonia, and Sentimental Value. The big snubs, Wicked for Good, failed to work its magic and was shut out entirely. Plus, there were some high-profile misses for stars like Paul Mescal and George Clooney. Well, this is a very exciting year because I think we see a lot of nominations spread around a lot of places, but let's start with Sinners, which is just this incredible story. I think incredible for many reasons. First of all, it came out in the summer. It is enduring, so it's getting all of this Oscar attention for the subject matter that it tells, the story that it tells, and for the fact that it has made history going beyond Titanic and All About Eve for these 16 nominations.
Well, in addition to that, it's up there in terms of box office, $368 million, which should be noted that the other film that got a lot of nominations is One Battle After Another. That's about $209 million. That's, these are big numbers, and lots of folks are going. Two Sinners, 1, 2, 3. I heard Delroy Lindo, who got nominated, who's in the film, say he's met people who've gone 10 times because it's very layered with some cultural, historical pieces. It's got some interesting music and a very interesting plot. And you got Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan twice. So how can you lose?
I know. It's also, it is in a long history of when this is a very ambitious film and it doesn't hide its ambition. And I think, historically, Hollywood likes that, and they like when they see filmmakers do that, and they reward that, and they have done that again here. And the other thing it's very original, which is something I know, we talk about the fact that right now, a lot of the films that are being made, and certainly the ones that tend to do well at the box office, are part of some sort of universe or part of some sort of series. This is an original story, and it also does another thing which I think Hollywood really likes and historically has given big thumbs up to, and that is genre bending. This is a new sort of kind of movie. It's sort of a horror movie. It's sort of a music movie. It's sort of a historical drama. It's trying to make a new kind of film, and I think it succeeds on a lot of levels, and it's been rewarded.
Two historic firsts. Ryan Coogler is up for black director of a director. He's black, and so far no black director no black person's ever won that role, even though others have been nominated. Ruth Carter, 5th nomination for costume design. She's won 2. She is now the most nominated black woman in Oscar history.
And she is a native of Springfield, Massachusetts, which is very exciting to see.
Right.
The one race that I'm usually for some reason, by default, it always seems to be the best actress race that I'm always really, really excited about. This year, it's different. It's the best actors race because there is a lot to pay attention to here. And I think for me, it's watching. So the nominees are Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, Michael B. Jordan, as you mentioned, Callie, and Wagner Moore for The Secret Agent. It seems to be coming down to Timothée Chalamet, because there's so much excitement for him. And by the way, this is he's now the youngest nominee to earn 3 nominations for acting since Marlon Brando, which is pretty considerable. We've seen the rise that he's had, the talent that he's had. So there's a lot of excitement for him. But there's also Ethan Hawke in this category, and he has never won. And he gives a tremendous performance in Blue Moon as Lorenz Hart, who is very much at the end of his life watching his career fade in musical theater. So it's going to be fascinating. But then there's also One Battle After Another, and so
with
that's
Sean
been so
Penn
successful in Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. So my theory is what happened at the Golden Globes, because Stellan Skarsgård won that category.
Yeah, he won for sentimental value, which I'd love to talk about for just a second when we get there. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that I think that the vote got split by Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn in that instance, and so that let him have more support. So I'm thinking something like that's going to happen because it's a very strong category. And as people have already noted, a snub is Jesse Plemons for Begonia. I mean, that guy is an incredible actor. I would never go see that film, but he's a great actor.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the best actor category, I would not put money on it because I think it is going to be really hard to kind of, sometimes you have those years where you look at it and you know who's going to win. I think you're right, Jared. You look at this and I have no idea. It's really up in the air. Although I am really interested in the best supporting actor because in that we have both Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro from One Battle After Another, and I think
Delroy Lindo, Sinners. Yeah,
I mean that's gonna be really tough.
Yeah.
I mean Sean Penn is insane in that movie, but
Yes.
Benicio del Toro is like the coolest human being that ever lived in
Exactly.
that movie, and
I
so
know.
I think that's going to be a really tough call right there.
So we spend just a moment talking about. I'm never a true fan of talking about snubs, but there are a lot of people really perplexed by the fact that Wicked has gone from being an absolute juggernaut last year and all the conversation, the Oscar nominations it received last year, to 1 year later and it got nothing, which
Right.
is shocking.
Well, including the director, and I think John Chu really got, messed over because he should have gotten something probably he should have been in the category at least last year. And even, this year. I think that those two, the Sinners and One Battle After Another, just squeezed out. And there is a lot of school of thought that if it had been one movie, albeit really, 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 really long, that that would have been a better shot.
So I was thinking about this, because we increasingly have these movies which are conceived in two parts, or we know they're going to be rolling out in three parts. And I was thinking back to, do you remember Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Which was really, it's probably
But
not
that
the
was a
first movie.
series.
No, it was a series.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you think back to that, basically, I think they got a couple technical nominations for the first two, but everybody knew three were coming out.
Right.
And then when the final one came out, it romped at the Oscars,
Yes.
right? And I think that the feeling was that they were rewarding it for the series of movies that had been made. And so I think right now, the Oscars, Hollywood in general, hasn't worked out how do you grapple with these things where there's going to be multiple. Avatar is another one that people are saying got snubbed, right? Because there's a third Avatar out now. That didn't really get the nominations this time. I think there is a question of how, moving forward, when more and more movies are part of a series, how do you handle it when it's sort of coming out over a course of 3 or 4 or 6 or 10 years?
Well, my theory is if it's a musical, it's never going, and there are really strong contenders that are non-musicals, that's the first thing that'll go.
First thing goes.
It often happens. Well,
Yes.
I feel like we should also do a little coda here because if people listen to the show regularly, they'll remember that this summer we talked about Ryan Coogler in Sinners.
Yes.
And a very peculiar thing, to Hollywood it was peculiar, thing that he did, which was to get directorial control and then to get full ownership of his film after 25 years. Normally it stays in the ownership of the studio, Paramount or Warner Brothers, whatever. This is a man who has put out this extraordinary blockbuster, now hugely Oscar nominated, as we mentioned, and then on top of that, he's going to own this film.
And there's 368 million. Did I mention now? So I'm thinking it's going to be studied and around for a long time, reviewed. So let's just say he can pay for his child's college education.
He's one of these people right now who's just got the golden touch. He is just winning everything. Everything he does is like sparkling.
And he's working on the third Black Panther.
He's working on exactly.
Artistically and business-minded, he's got the golden touch.
It's unbelievable.
That doesn't always come hand in hand. All right, well, that's not the only awards buzz. There's also the Public Domain Film Remix Awards, which honors artists reworking titles new to the public domain. So this year, we didn't get to have this conversation, which normally we have at the top of the year, but because of the way the holiday fell, we didn't talk about this. But some of the projects entering into the public domain this year in 2026 are All Quiet on the Western Front, Betty Boop, to this little ditty from 1930, Fascinating Rhythm. That's a case where the recording goes in so people can use that. So just a little quick lesson here if people don't understand. There's a law in this country going back, in this case 75, 76 years, so that when something is that old, it enters the public domain, which means everybody has license to it, essentially, which is why we see these Winnie the Pooh murder horror films or Mickey Mouse horror films. Disney has definitely been trying to fight this now that its properties are going into the public domain, including Rover this year, who a year later would become Pluto.
Yeah.
But this was really interesting when we became aware of these awards, which challenges people maybe to get away from turning Winnie the Pooh into a horror film franchise, but to really do something creative with these properties and remix them 76 years later.
I'm waiting to see what they're going to do with the little engine that could, because that's in the public
domain.
pretty
That's
interesting.
in the list, yeah.
I think it's an opportunity for creativity, and if we've just talked about the top films at the Oscars that are both quite original and drawing from various genres. So here's an opportunity for somebody to take something in one genre and expand it to others, or, fuse it with something else. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities. I have to say, I'm not a fan of the horror takes on it either.
Oh,
'cause I
you're
don't-
not?
No,
You don't
'cause
like
I don't
the Winnie the
horror
Pooh
movies.
slasher
No, I
movies?
do
That's
not.
not in your wheelhouse, Callie?
No. So I'm very interested for somebody to take the material and do something more fun with it.
I think these are so cool, and it's the Internet Archive who leads this, and the Internet Archive is a cool organization, and I would say, like, if people are looking for something to do this weekend, this is a great way to spend half an hour. So go onto the Internet Archive site and look at their 3 winners and their honorable mention. They're all shorts, but they're very thoughtful, creative takes where they're basically they're 2-3 minute little films, little art films that are using stuff that is in the public domain to breathe new life into it in lots of interesting ways. And so I think it's really cool. And the public domain thing, I think it's really important. The fact that these works, it's a good way to shine a light on it, because I think the average person doesn't realize how much it costs to license these things when they're not in the public domain, and how much of a pressure that is on anybody from a local movie theater who wants to be able to show old movies. Well, if it's not old enough, they got to pay when they want to do that. Even us, when we want to play a song, sometimes we can't play that song. So, the fact that
oftentimes we can't play that song.
Yeah.
But it's true. And so, like, when these things come into the public domain and can be used freely, I think it's a really cool thing, and it's nice that there's something like this that shines a spotlight on that.
Well, I think there's also this great exercise that we can have in going back to pieces that are really universal as these artists are trying to figure out. And for instance, if you have William Faulkner as I Lay Dying, or even mysteries that you can now take and make your own and find your own creative way into it. And sometimes we laugh at some of the sordid things that people do to these properties, but it's also a way to look at the history of culture and how something that was deeply considered 76 years ago still stands up today, or can be adapted or advanced today.
I would just add that we're in an era where fan fiction is huge.
Yeah.
And if people are paying attention to that, it begins with original pieces, and those folks that are really adept at it, leap from that foundation and do these other creative things. So this is really an opportunity to use some cultural pieces that are well known and treasured in the same way that a lot of the fan fiction folks are doing now.
And it's also, I would also say, in some ways, it is a unique type of creativity, and it shares with the idea of upcycling fashion that you might get at a secondhand store, and it shares some DNA with hip hop music, which is taking music and sampling and reworking it. So the idea that we have, this broad swath of media that can be used in this particular kind of art form, I think that's pretty cool too.
Well, the final thing I have to say about this is that this is also a lot of opportunity for people to see things they may have never seen before, or read things before, because it's cheaper to publish in print, like The Maltese Falcon. John Wayne's first leading role in The Big Trail will now be accessible, so it can be more widely distributed. Garbo's first talkie, Anna Christie, is now out there, so it flattens culture to a degree too, in that there is so much wider access to all of this. Well, coming up, a big announcement from the Williamstown Theater Festival. It's not happening. We'll look at why and what it signals for the theater world. That's next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
I'm Arun Roth. Today on GBH's All Things Considered, Boston activists and union members rally today alongside Minnesota residents protesting ICE. And a major winter storm is expected to hit the eastern U.S. this weekend, putting tens of millions at risk. Meanwhile, federal cuts are threatening efforts to understand extreme weather. Those stories and all the day's news starting at 4 on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Bonsai Bar, hosting pop-up beginner bonsai workshops at breweries across New England. Hands-on classes provide guidance in the basics of bonsai design and care in a group setting. More at bonsaibar.com. And American Repertory Theater with Wonder, a new musical for the whole family based on the best-selling book and beloved movie. The Wall Street Journal calls it heartfelt and uplifting. Tickets at amrep.org. And Riverstone International US LLC, located in Beverly, Massachusetts. A Riverstone International company acquiring legacy insurance globally since 2010. Learn more at rsml.co.uk.
GBH Daily is a newsletter that keeps you informed, connected, and ready to go every weekday morning. You can subscribe today and get it in your inbox at gbh.org/daily.
Welcome back to The Culture Show. I'm Jared Bowen, live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review, which includes Williamstown Theater Festival. For decades, it's been a proving ground for artists and productions that have frequently gone on to shape American theater. This summer, though, the festival is taking a season off as it retools its model and finances. So just the background on this. This is a Berkshire's institution that's been in place since 1954. Not only has it been a Berkshire's institution, but this is a theater festival that has long been an incubator for American theater. So often you will find major stars going out there, major playwrights going out there. Tennessee Williams was involved with the Williamstown Theater Festival so that they can get projects off the ground to get their first sense of what they're like in front of audiences. And then often they can go on to other lives and other regional theaters or go on to Broadway. So we'll parse through why this is all happening, but this is a major disruption on a couple fronts, that you have a year off from this development, but also it's a huge draw for that area in the Berkshires. Not to say that there aren't others like Tanglewood and the museums and things of that nature, but this will be a big change.
Well, I think it's one of those institutions where if you're in the arts world and if you are an appreciator, you can just say Williamstown and you know what that means.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you have reached one of the pinnacles.
Yeah.
You know, right.
That's
I mean,
true.
so if you say Williamstown, I know what that means. And I know that it's a local institution that's been doing fantastic work, the kind of work that people would want to see, and that's offered the opportunities, if you said to people, maybe on their first round, or even some people coming back for their second or third round. And it has a national reputation, and I think to some degree maybe even an international reputation.
Yeah.
So a loss, and we're now at a point, as we've discussed on this show so often, where these local institutions that have been providing so much support both for the communities and in general the art world, this is a bad time for, I think, for them not to be.
Question, what is the path forward, right?
Mhm.
So, obviously, taking a whole season off, as you point out, Callie, I agree with you. This is not a great time for that to be happening. That said, it's, all of the competing pressures, and it's not just a funding issue. It's also, they've talked about the fact that they, like everybody else, are competing for people's attention with screens, from the television to the telephone, and so to step back and ask yourself, okay, how can we survive as an organization? What is it that we have to do? And if shrinking or sort of altering the rhythm with which you're able to do stuff is part of that equation, because you can say, okay, we could try to bump along and still do 6 or 7 productions or whatever it was we were going to do, but we're going to have to cut the budget on all of them. Or we could pause, reevaluate. We know we can be strong every other year and then build back up afresh and anew. Maybe this is the start of a path forward.
Yeah,
maybe.
Which, to confirm, and they have said that, they're moving to a biennial model. So last summer I spoke with William Jackson Harper. He's best known as Chidi on The Good Place. He was starring in Tennessee Williams' drama Not About Nightingales at the festival. Here's what he had to say just about this tradition.
People seem excited to just have their pick of things to see at the festival. There's just like a hum around the town just because it's like there's something happening, something to go see. For us working out here, it's we're working just as hard as we would. I'm looking at this as an exploration, and I'm experimenting more. I'm trying to find the thing that feels the most honest, and I'm exploring and I'm trying things. And I think that the audiences are in on a process where you're seeing a lot of artists try things and explore things. Whereas I think that maybe in New York, it would be a little bit more result-oriented.
So just what he's talking about, the experimentation, that's exactly what the leadership is doing right now, because this is also representative of the arts changing nationally. We're about to talk about another story where that's very, very significant. But clearly the old model of theater, especially since COVID, when people stopped going to the theater in the numbers they had before, since the economy became more challenging and things have become more expensive, and gift giving has been dropped and funding has been cut, it's more expensive to do this. So they're taking a moment to think, how can we have the biggest impact going forward? And they had a very successful season, but that also meant dropping down to 8 shows over 3 long weekends instead of being spread out throughout the summer. But they had big stars like William Jackson Harper. They had big stars like Pamela Anderson out there. In the past, you've had other people like Bradley Cooper doing Elephant Man before it goes to Broadway. So this is about figuring how you establish these artists in the most impactful but consolidated way going forward.
Well, I think it's true that for every art institution, the question is, how do you engage different audiences and then sustain them? I mean, that's where we're at. And yes, COVID was a wake-up call because much reliability was always on the actual physical presence of people. But now, as we've seen, a lot of places have tried to figure out, well, how can I work with the fact that I may not be able to get literal seats in the building, but I can do some other things to attract people. So there is a lot of discussion, to your point, Edgar, about the path forward and how can we be creative about it. I mean, and I really don't have an answer.
I don't know that anybody does, which is one of the things that's kind of terrifying about it. But it is also, if you can sort of keep your head on straight, there's tons of opportunity in that too. And so it's a matter of how you keep the resolve to keep trying things and find those new audiences and find those new voices, because we know, there are blockbusters yet to come, both on the stage and on the screen. They might not come at the rate that they used to, but they're there to be had. And I think if you have something that is vital, if you have a performance or a performer that is electric, people still want to see that. People do still want to go and see these things. It's just a matter of it's a little bit harder to find them, and I don't know that anybody really knows how to do it reliably right now.
Well, no, and I think the one silver lining here is that while other festivals have closed or they have suffered, we do see a concerted effort from Williamstown Theater Festival to keep going forward. Jeremy O'Harris, very acclaimed playwright, very provocative playwright, who is not afraid of new ideas. If you saw his Slave play on Broadway, you know exactly what I'm talking about, or when it's been staged around the country. They're all still committed to this and thinking about reshaping things. So more to come. Well, the other story that we're looking at this week as a bellwether is in New York, another institutional shakeup. The Metropolitan Opera is cutting staff, trimming its season, and slashing executive pay as it grapples with persistent financial pressures, and all amid the backdrop of a tenuous relationship with Saudi Arabia. So this is a major bellwether because the Metropolitan Opera is one of the biggest arts organizations in this country. It has been one of the most solid arts organizations in this country with a $330 million annual budget, but it is suffering for a lot of the same reasons we were talking about Williamstown, because the landscape has just changed. Where the Saudi Arabia component comes in, which is interesting to say the least, is they have a $200 million deal with Saudi Arabia where basically they were subsidizing the Met in exchange for the Met performing at a new venue being built outside of Riyadh for several weeks every year. But it seems like that is very tenuous in this moment, and this relationship may be crumbling.
And in addition to that, there are a lot of people that have strong feelings about the support from Saudi Arabia. I'm just taking a look at, I don't know if it's Saudi. Is this Saudi Arabia with the Golf Pro?
Yeah, that's
same thing.
The Live Tour with golf. Yeah, same thing.
Right. So it's a lot of those discussions about people are like, you know what, I'm not putting my money in with an organization that is involved with the Saudis, period. So that I'm sure that's impacting them to some large degree as well. So that's one piece of it. But then you think about, we were talking about Williamstown being one word, cultural institution recognition. The Met, I mean, it's actually in movies about New York. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
the Met.
It's the Met. I mean, if you've never been there and never will go, you know what it is and you know what it stands for. So again, that's quite a loss. But it sounds like whether this deal comes through or not, there's going to be some rejiggering about how they proceed. And listen, opera's expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a money-losing proposition.
Yes.
That was how it was explained
Yeah.
to me a number of years ago. You will never fully pay for a production just by ticket sales alone.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work
the
that
math
way.
doesn't work. Yeah.
Right.
I think to me the thing about this that is the most shocking is how tangible it is. Right. Like it's. A lot of times I think we sort of in the abstract, we hear about funding cuts. We know things are kind of out there happening.
We live with them.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Well,
but
we should be talking about ourselves here because we were going through it ourselves to be transparent.
And we are, but to a certain extent, right? Like there's that disconnect between you're reading the news and the government's out of public broadcasting, right? But we're still on the air. So there's this thing where it's like, okay, I get that in the abstract this thing is happening and there's a budget problem, but then over here it sort of feels like my life hasn't changed that much. But like here, I mean, there are numbers on this stuff. There are this is like people's salaries are being cut. They're going to try to sell 2 murals, Marc Chagall murals.
Oh, we haven't
right?
even talked about that.
So they have these 2 amazing Marc Chagall murals, which they want to sell for $55 million. I don't know if that's total or
each. If you're watching on our GBH News YouTube stream or here at the library, you'll see one of the murals we're streaming right now.
And now the hope is they will sell them to someone and then that person will gift them back so they don't have to leave, right? But like that's real. Like that's real. That's happening. And they're looking at selling the naming rights to their theater in Lincoln Center, which is like it just really puts in focus how legitimate these budget issues are. Like they are happening.
Well, I remember when COVID happened, and I didn't quite understand why this would bear out this way, but people like Catherine Peterson at Arts Boston, which is a very expansive marketing organization of which most of the regional arts organizations are a member, she said this is going to take years for the impact of COVID to be known. And I think there was a rush of energy right after COVID when the funding came in and people did go back to the theater, not completely, because a lot of people didn't feel comfortable doing it. So we had a sense that it might be different, but this is exactly what she was talking about. The ripple effect going further down where the business just isn't the same. And so now we're having the hard conversations about layoffs, about a loss of funding, about having to take a cultural institution and transform it, about taking Marc Chagall murals, which were constructed for that space, and put it on the auction block. This is a very sobering reality about arts in our country right now.
I think it's also another conversation about, a continuing conversation, one we've been having at least the last decade, about an assumption about the core audiences for some of these long-standing cultural institutions. And then to wake up and realize you actually could get other audiences, but you have to ask them, you have to invite them in. There has to be some of the product on the stage that has some connection to their lives and meaning, or at least you explain it to me in a universal way. And so a lot of these institutions have been able to go on. I'm not saying this is just the Met, to go on by virtue of people understanding the product, understanding its value, and being there for them. But now you cannot, that's not just the audience.
Well, especially when ticket prices are hundreds of dollars.
And the other thing this has to be seen in the context of is the fact that the federal government is getting out of the business of funding the arts. And these things are public-private partnerships, and the fact that, the federal government, and this, like the COVID thing, Jared, we're not going to know the real impact of this until years down the road.
For a generation, yeah.
But this is happening as that is also happening. And so, to your point, something like an opera, where it's a losing proposition, well, the idea that some taxpayer money helps offset that so you can have an opera in your town, I think, a lot of people would be like, okay, that's cool, that makes sense. But that's no longer the deal for the most part.
Otherwise, the hard choices are going to have to be made. The Met, fewer productions. Williamstown not happening. Public media may be selling. I'm not saying this is happening yet, but maybe
Yeah.
selling its properties to Netflix, for example.
Yeah.
So the business is changing. Well, coming up, Green Day takes the Super Bowl stage. What will happen when American Idiot meets America's biggest broadcast? That's next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
As many parts of the world become more secular, lots of young people in Spain are returning to the Catholic Church.
These kids today are looking for silence, he says, to disconnect from the noise of the world and to find authenticity.
That trend is reflected in Spanish pop music as the homegrown star Rosalia drops new music dealing with the spiritual. Next time on The World.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Brightbound, helping students as young as middle school identify their strengths, explore their passions, and navigate a path to a rewarding career. Learn more at brite.bound.org. And Brown University pre-college programs, where high school students experience college life, nurture their diverse interests, and make friends and memories that last a lifetime. Applications available online at precollege.brown.edu. And Boston Harbor Hotel, celebrating the 37th annual Boston Wine and Food Festival with winemaker-hosted dinners, seminars, and more from January through March. Details at boswineandfoodfestival.com.
Securely and confidentially contact GBH News by messaging us on the Signal app. Visit gbhnews.org/investigations for more information. gbhnews.org/investigations.
I'm Jared Bowen. This is The Culture Show, live on 89.7 from our GBH studio at the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm joined by co-hosts Callie Crossley and Edgar B. Herwig III. We're going over the latest headlines on our Arts and Culture Week in Review, which includes Green Day. The group is now set to open the Super Bowl ceremony. This is a band known for anti-establishment anthems, so very interesting that they'll be playing for the biggest establishment and the most mainstream audience in television. By way of example, here's a little bit of American Idiot, their protest song from the 2004 album of the same name.
Don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't wanna be
Yeah, so that's Green Day.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is wild because we'll talk a little bit more about Bad Bunny in a moment, but we looked at the backlash around Bad Bunny and how upset people were and how political they thought it was because he only sings in Spanish. And so what does this mean to put him center stage at the very American Super Bowl as if he's not American for being there and singing in Spanish as being somebody from part of the United States, Puerto Rico. And now you have Green Day, whose song we just played was all anti-George W. Bush and the Iraq War, and they're setting the tone for the evening.
With when the celebrities come out, that's the other thing. Their work will accompany their songs when the celebrities are introduced at the Super Bowl.
All of the Super Bowl MVPs coming out on
Exactly.
It's so weird.
It is weird.
It's so awesome.
So let me go back and maybe you all can let me know. I think I'm right. Doesn't Jay-Z program this? Program the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
check.
Yes,
he
does.
His company. His company.
Okay,
does,
so is this Jay-Z going wink, wink?
I mean, it could just be like, I like the idea that it's Jay-Z being like, how far can I push this? Let me keep going. When are they going to make me stop?
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is like, okay, you can sort of make the case they're a Bay Area band. The Super Bowl's in the Bay Area, so there's like a little tenuous thing. But you talk about American Idiot as being like anti-George Bush. This week, on stage this week, Billy Joe from Green Day said, this song is anti-fascism. This song is anti-war. We stand up for our brothers and sisters in Minnesota before breaking into one of their songs, Holiday. So it's not just the past. This is a very outspoken band, a very politically, unafraid band. And I am I'm gobsmacked that they've been added to the lineup.
Because let's be clear, the NFL is not sitting there saying, you know what, we need to have cultural conversation.
Exactly.
How can we move this forward? The NFL is saying, how can we put on the biggest show to bring the biggest eyeballs? So they thought this was the reason to do it.
Yeah, it's dollars.
So is it possible, let me just put this out here, you all can yell at me, that someone's not paying attention and they look at these guys and they say, they look like, young white guys, and
these guys are white. These guys,
what's wrong with them?
Yeah, just like, sir, I would like to have Green Day. Do they sing in English? They
Exactly.
do. Go ahead and have Green Day.
So that's what I'm thinking. Somebody wasn't paying attention. They were like, hey.
I mean, we can also mention that Brandi Carlile is singing America the Beautiful. Brandi Carlile has not shied away from her political views.
Yeah.
Not to mention she is also gay, and there, we're making a statement about, there's a lot of statements going on here, and Bad Bunny has already told everybody, and it's late now, start learning Spanish.
Yeah, it's true.
We have an aspiring late night writer in the control room, our control room, who just wrote, they thought the band was called Greenland. They thought they were being au courant for the moment.
Greenland, that's ours now, right? Put them on the stage.
Well, in other Super Bowl news, as we talked about, Bad Bunny is adding to the Super Bowl buzz, dropping a trailer for his halftime show. If people have not seen this,
it's so
great.
It is great.
It's fabulous.
Shot in Puerto Rico. You have Bad Bunny at the center of the screen. We have a picture of this streaming on our GBH News YouTube channel. He's there under this gorgeous red tree, and for much of the teaser trailer that has just dropped, he is just dancing with one person at a time. That one person keeps switching out, but it's this hugely diverse array of people.
It's
super
so
young, old, all manner of thing. At the end, he dips somebody in a cowboy hat. Dips this person. That's how intimate the dance is.
It's great.
It's provocative.
It is definitely provocative. It's great. I mean, Bad Bunny already told you, get ready, right? I mean, I just love it.
That guy likes to throw a party.
Yes.
And the Super Bowl is I guess, I don't want to play dumb. I understand why people are maybe ginning up controversy around this or actually are upset about it or whatever. But, also, it's just joyous music.
It is.
It is joyful, joyous, infectious music. The guy likes to dance. He likes to hang out. It's just and that's the ad is sort of the same thing, right? It's just
and
people
he's an
rolling
entertainer.
He's great.
He is an entertainer.
It's what can you really object to about this?
You
don't like fun? Okay, I guess you don't like fun.
I guess you don't like fun, and you don't like people speaking Spanish, and he's going to be speaking Spanish.
He's
so
going to be speaking
go.
Spanish, and it's. But I was seriously, I was doing some thinking about this. Right, the thing is also let's not forget that these Afro-Cuban rhythms and Latin music have been a part of American music for as long as there has been American music. I mean, you think about back in the early days of rock and roll and Richie Valens with La Bamba, all of the cha-cha and mambo feel to Motown music. Ray Charles, What I Say, that's got a Latin rhythm to it. Santana in the 60s and then again in the 90s. It's this is American music.
Except it's so often been
music.
unacknowledged. That connection is like it dropped in out of a vacuum.
But like any truth, Callie, us acknowledging it or not acknowledging it does not change the fact that go back and listen to this stuff and it's all there.
I agree.
It's all there.
And now we're having the conversation that the NFL wasn't intending for us to have.
This
is the cultural conversation we're having. And they're forcing me once again to tape this so that I can look at it over the halftime over and over.
Well, the NFL is thinking, well, the Culture Show talks about it. That's more eyeballs on our show.
Yeah, Commissioner Roger Goodell is tuning into the Culture Show each week to find out what we're saying about the Super Bowl.
Something of that, I tell you.
We'll move on to continued music this week.
Yes.
The Songwriters Hall of Fame has announced its 2026 inductees, including Taylor Swift, Alanis Morissette, and Kiss's Gene Simmons, celebrating the architects behind decades of hit from chart toppers to deep catalog classics. So we can't possibly run through all of the songwriters, but as often we do, we each pick one. I'm going to start with Alanis Morissette. Here's You Ought to Know from her. She's among the nominees, or not nominees.
No,
she's been accepted. She's part of the
inductees.
class of 2026. Inductees, that's the word I was looking for. This is from her 1995 record, Jagged Little Pill. I was just hearing that. I'm thinking 1995, we know how this album exploded, not just that song, practically every song on that album. It's not unlike Big Bad Bunny. Because people were looking at it and thinking, there were so many people who didn't understand it. Why is this woman singing this way? Why is she so angry?
Yeah, right?
But of course, it galvanized people. I had the chance to speak with her in 2018 when she was creating Jagged Little Pill as it premiered at the American Repertory Theater, and I asked her about writing this music. Here's what she had to say.
I was giving myself permission to express exactly what was going on without sugarcoating it. There was an urgency to the writing, definitely. It was almost manic in a way. A very channeled experience, super exhausting, but really, really gratifying. Some of it was that there was a movement, whether it was the feminist movement or consciousness evolution movement, and the wave was happening, and I feel as though I put my hand up and volunteered to be on the front top of the wave with my surfboard, and I became a spokesperson of a kind for this emergence of an authentic experience of what it is to be human, what it was to be a woman in those times.
And for a little bit more on that process, I was looking back at the interview that I did. She talked about 80% of the record was original demos done in 1 or 2 takes. A lot of the songs were written in 15 minutes, both the lyric and music. It just gushed out of her. She said that she had been a people pleaser for all her life, and then the dam broke, and this is where a lot of the anger came out. And by the way, she embraced that term. She said to me, anger is a gorgeous life force. So that's the process behind her songwriting.
I love it. Well, I pretty much like everybody in the inductee group. Kiss doesn't do anything for me, as I've said, but everybody else I love. But for my choice, it's Christopher Tricky Stewart, who co-wrote All the Single Ladies by Beyonce. That's a 2009 hit. It came out, as it turns out later, who knew this, a year after Jay-Z and Beyonce got married secretly. And when they were recording this is the first time that a lot of people in the studio even know it. So here's All the Single Ladies. And see me with somebody else, and you didn't put the ring on it.
Yeah.
Step back.
I mean, also
she
the
spoke
video,
for Minnie.
Yeah. The video should, if there is a choreography Hall of Fame, the video belongs in it as well.
Oh, it's true. It is
I
really
remember,
true.
a whole family gathering where we all tried to learn it together. I was the worst. It was just so pathetic. So awful.
Liza Minnelli did it in Bridesmaids, by the way. Yes.
By the way, he also was one of the co-writers on Umbrella, Ella.
And Justin Bieber's Baby.
Yeah.
I mean, he's prolific.
Some hits.
But I know, he's good. So I'm glad for him.
So yeah, I also like a lot of the folks in here. I've even softened. Kenny Loggins is in it. I've even over the years kind of I've softened on Kenny Loggins. I like me a little Kenny Loggins. But
you don't have to qualify. You can just lean into it.
It's been a journey for me, and right now me and Kenny are okay. But I really wanted to highlight Walter Afanasieff. Interesting guy. One of these names where you probably who's that guy? Well. He did a lot of work with Mariah Carey for her first couple of albums and co-wrote a lot of the songs with her. He's a super interesting guy, too, right? He's got a Russian father, a Chinese mother. He was born in Brazil, grew up here, crazy backstory. But he is the one who co-wrote this song with her, which I know you all feel like you escaped and we're not going to have to deal with until probably October of next year. But here we go. Let's hear a little.
Edgar. Oh.
It's Christmas in January.
Can we please end this now?
I mean,
I love holiday music
now
so
listen,
much.
Whatever you think of that song, I mean, you want to talk about a song that has had an impact.
That's right.
For good, better or for worse. That alone gets him in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, in my estimation. So yeah, that's what I got. Also, he produced. My Heart Will Go On, the Celine Dion song. He was the producer on that song. Yeah. I mean, crazy talented guy.
It's a really good class of people, of inductees.
Yeah, it really is.
But you know who we haven't even mentioned?
Oh, right. Right. There's another kind of famous songwriter who got in this year. Taylor Swift.
That is true. And I'm going to say right now, I'm going on the record, I am not a Swiftie, but I looked at that documentary series, and here is my quote: "Give the woman the check." She is a musician's musician. I'm sorry, people. You don't have to like her, but she knows what she's doing. That's all I'm saying.
Kelly.
What?
The check has been given.
I know, but just give it to her. She's
Many checks.
She's earning the check. I just gotta give it to her.
And we should also point out she's the second youngest songwriter ever honored after Stevie Wonder, and she's the youngest female songwriter ever honored for this 2026 class in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Well, earlier this week on the show, we talked about what books from 1926 resonate in 2026. In the digital world, there's been a mass revisiting of 2016. People all over social media are loving their time machine remembrances, postings, and overall nostalgia for the year of Pokemon Go, Bieber, and Beyonce. I feel like this is the recurring theme, especially over the last year, of the nostalgia factor, whether it's people taking up smoking again, which they are, people finding books again in actual print, which they are, people going back to cassettes and DVDs and CDs, which they are, but people online anyway are living in 2016.
It's so fascinating to me. That was the year that Beyonce dropped Lemonade, by the way. So now fast forward from Single Ladies, and there's a few little comments to Jay-Z in that music, if you recall.
Yeah.
A little. So it was a reboot of the Gilmore Girls, and The People versus OJ was on TV.
Oh, wow.
See how
that was
see,
so good.
It was very good. You forget all of this stuff that's going on. So again, there is a nostalgia trend going on, but for so many of these people, they're rediscovering this stuff, and for whatever reason it's resonating with them. A lot of people say it's because the internet then, or it was just coming into being.
The internet was perfect then.
So you didn't, you're not where you are now, where it's so omnipresent and in some ways uncontrollable. Not saying it was controllable then, but you just felt like it was a tool and not like all of your life.
So do you remember last week we were talking about the MTV Rewind thing, right? And when I was kind of doing research ahead of the show for that, I was really struck by, there was a piece in the New York Times, I was really struck by a quote from Doug Klinger, who co-founded the Internet Music Video Database, which is kind of like one of the things that helped the guy who put together the MTV thing. He said, people are clearly longing for the ability to watch stuff and not get AI slop. It's nostalgia for 30 years ago, but also for 10 years ago.
Right.
And it does kind of put a fine point on how quickly things really have changed in the last 10 years in our sort of digital landscape. It is a lot different than it was 10 years ago.
I was looking at one remembrance this morning, which is saying you could go on Instagram and you could reach the end of the scroll. You really could.
Oh, that's
especially
true.
for Instagram, because you were following a certain number of people, and it was long before they created this algorithm to tell you what you thought you wanted to see. So you were really only looking at things you wanted to see, and you could finish it. There's also the argument, which I think is absolutely true, that this world is so difficult right now, and there's so many horrible things happening that people just want to live in the past. And I just want to take a moment to say, before you write us in and say the past is always had troubles. Yes, the past has always had troubles, because 2016 was the year of Brexit, the Pulse nightclub shooting, police shootings, a Zika outbreak. So yes, we're acknowledging that always happens. But it was a time that people feel very comfortable going back to, because the world was so different. We're talking a lot about millennials, especially, who are doing this right now, because now that they're not the youngest generation anymore, they're taking a moment to take stock, as are other people, and figuring out, I guess it's sort of an existential quest here to figure out what life was then, what it is now, and how do you reconcile that. Hopefully you don't stay in 2016, because obviously you can't do that.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that one of these young people talking about this 2016 craze calls herself a Zillennial, micro generation that sits between Gen Z and millennials, and that a lot of her friends are driving this nostalgia trend for 2016 specifically.
Well, and there was a really interesting piece in Forbes where they were talking about, see this in the context of culturally where we're at, but also looking at, as you said, Jared, this is driven a lot by millennials and where they are in their lives. And it points out something like 75% of the workforce is made up of millennials. 66% of U.S. employees report feeling work. More than 70% of millennials say stress has driven them to consider changing jobs. Nearly 3/4 say that they have high work-related stress. They're working outside of hours. So that idea of where they're at, and then looking back at 2016, if you're a millennial, 10 years prior, and the ease with which you maybe were moving through the world, you can understand
you were a
it.
lot
Yeah,
younger.
but there's a real something there. You
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it is time for our weekend preview, which we're going to have to make kind of a lightning round this week. It's our suggestions of the arts and culture events we recommend. Callie, what are you suggesting?
The Hans Zimmer Candlelight Concerts. The Candlelight Concerts is from a global company called Fever, and they make all of these concerts in different venues, often churches. This next one with Hans Zimmer is in Temple Beth Shalom, I think, here in town. And there's just a lot of candles, and they play all the hits from various people. Used to be strictly classical, but Hans Zimmer's the music will, of course, all of his scores of famous movies and stuff. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds very beautiful. Edgar?
Mine is The Beasts of Burren, Rolling Stones tribute in honor of Charles Daniels at the Burren, which I talked a lot about last week, but the Burren in Davis Square in the back room. So this is coming up Tuesday, so Tuesday of next week. Charles Daniels, known as the Master Blaster, we've talked about him in the past on the show. He passed away 2 years ago this week. And the story with Charles is he was a photographer, both on the road with bands like the Rolling Stones and the Who and the Faces back in the 60s, but also around town. And as he got towards the end of his life, they were looking over his collection of photographs, and he had some 3,000 plus rolls of film that had never been developed. So there's been a big fundraising effort that's gone on for years now. They've raised close to $100,000 and had much of this film developed. There's absolute gems in it. So this is going to be an event at the back room in the Burn, a little bit of celebration of his life. Rolling Stones tribute band. He was good friends with the Rolling Stones, and so that's appropriate. And there'll be a slideshow of some 300 to 400 of his photographs, which have been recovered as part of this project.
And it's a fundraiser.
So $10 to $20 suggested donation, and they're raising money to try to get the rest of these photos done and archived.
Well, mine takes you to the movies, which you probably won't be able to get to because of the little bit of snow coming our way. But H is for Hawk. You may have listened yesterday. We had Claire Foy on the show, and hers is a really good movie. She's starring in this film. It's an adaptation of the 2014 memoir by Helen MacDonald. It's so great. It's about her suddenly losing her father, the man she feels that really he's the only person who understood her in her life. And so she does something that connects her to her father, which is they had done falconry, and she adopts a goshawk, which are psychopaths, as the person who hands the bird over to her tells her. And so in this really remarkable performance, you see Claire Foy as Helen MacDonald established this relationship with this hawk, which is majestic and beautiful, but a wild creature, and how that all comes to the fore. This is not CGI, this is not AI, this is Claire Foy in the room with, as she told me in the interview, 5 different goshawks for different elements of the filming, and you really have this understanding of the bird, you have this understanding of grief, and really masterful performances. So that's my suggestion that you can do this week or next week after everything is plowed. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to another edition of The Culture Show. A reminder that our next Wednesday watch party is next Wednesday. We'll be talking about the endlessly rewatchable classic Groundhog Day. So brush up on your Bill Murray, Sonny and Cher, and Punxsutawney Phil. And tune in Monday for playwright Max Wolf Friedlich about his new play, The Thriller Job, now playing at Speakeasy Stage Company. Today's engineers are Bill Piacitelli and Dave Goodman. The BPL technical and logistics crew, Maddie Geyer, Bill Francis, Sandra Lopez-Burke, Juan Jose Cadena, Chris Hanks, Pat Lally, and Olivia Corshio. Thanks to the Newsfeed Cafe. Thank you to everyone who came down to be here at the library with us today. We always party like it's 2016 and have an art-filled weekend. Oh, and make us proud, Drake May. Go Patriots. Have a great afternoon.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Where's Mary? Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.